Welcome, my little Tattle Tells. I hope you have your tea ready because guess what? It's book club time. Yay! What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me. Y'all, we got to talk. Listen, I was withholding my judgment until the book came out because we're going to get into the book. But let me just say this as a disclaimer. I was really withholding my judgment until the book came out because everybody experiences things different and everybody needs respect to tell their story. However, there's a lot of troubling things in this book. And the thing is, I said chapter 1 to 4 because I thought it was going to be a huge book, right? This book is not even 211 pages. You guys, yes, y'all see my ghetto things. You guys, the Bearstein Bears, right? Yes, let's get into that. The Bearstein Bears books are thicker than this book. But I said it doesn't matter because you made it to be an easy read. When I saw that there was only 211 pages, that's including the prologue and whatnot, I literally said, well, you clearly meant this for little kids to read. And by little kids, I mean like 14, 15, 16. You're trying to become a motivational speaker, trying to become that big sis, step into your role as a matriarch. But y'all, and I'm going to get to the R. Kelly chapter because that's the most disturbing chapter. And then even getting into Cordell, you definitely see that Porsha repeats patterns. But you know what? Let's get into this. Let's get into this because I have to take you on the journey with me to truly understand the pursuit of Porsha. Now, I did see a lot of people saying that it was sold out in Target. Everything's always sold out in Target. Like every book I go to is sold out in Target. Again, when something gets sold out in Target, that's not saying much because Target don't order a lot of stock. Do you see what I'm saying? Target with their book section, they just like, they have a few books if your husband's shopping. If you're shopping and your husband wants to go read, okay, there's a few books. But you guys, Target is always sold out of books. You got to go to a bookstore. You got to go to Barnes and Nobles, or you got to go to Amazon, or even go to Kindle if you get this. I'm interested to see what the numbers are for this book because y'all, also, before I start, I want to give a shout out to Miss Shirley and all the people at the home watching. Miss Shirley actually messaged me and said that y'all be watching me. And I got to say thank you so much. I hope I'm keeping you guys entertained and making your day go by a lot faster, So shout out to Shirley and all the folks over at the home. What's going on, my little Tattle Tells? Now, again, look, you guys, let's get into this. Hey, Vicky, thank you. Vicky said, happy December, Tisa. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. I love you too. Yes, and we do love B. Hey, B. Hey, Rim. What's going on, everyone? Let me turn this air on because this book. Now, again, Rodney the Voice. If y'all don't watch Rodney the Voice, go ahead and watch him. He's so funny, He literally said that Porsha wrote this, that this was a coloring book. And Porsha probably wrote it on her stomach with crayons, scribbling, with her feet kicked up. And I was just like, haha, Rodney, you so funny, because Rodney has a way with words. But y'all, this book is 211 pages. Look how thin this book is. And again, it only looks thicker because I got my ghetto bookmarks, because y'all know I wasn't buying some real bookmarks. I got my ghetto bookmarks because there was just so much. And also, my pin's in the way. This is how thick the book is. It's 211 pages. Y'all, look how big the type is. I don't know if you guys are big book readers. I am. Y'all, this font was made for, I guess, preteens. Like the preteen books, like, what is it? What are the preteen books that people read? Like, anyway, this book. We really got to talk about chapter 4. Chapter 4 is when she talks about her experience to R. Kelly. And to me, chapter 4 was the most disturbing thing, right? Hey, Nerva. Hey, Miss Main Event. Hey, Gloria. Listen, we're doing a members only live chat. You can always become a member. It's only $4.99. And for those of y'all like, I'm sick of Tisa advertising her $4.99. Shut up and go to another channel. All right. Listen, when everybody signs up, you can stop hearing me. So instead of either go to another channel or get in on this and try to get me subscribers. So listen, but all people are invited to actually join the church. So listen, you guys. I'm going to give shout outs in a minute. Let's just get into chapter 1 now, right? Hmm. So it starts off with a sweet prologue, right? The first chapter is only 9 pages, y'all. The second chapter is 17 pages. The third chapter is 20 pages. The fourth chapter is 40 pages. That's the R. Kelly. That's the meat of this. The fifth chapter is another 20 pages. Sixth chapter is 20 pages. Seventh chapter is 20 pages. Eighth chapter, 20 pages. Ninth chapter, 20 pages. 10th chapter, 20. I'm sorry, not even 20. 18 pages, and the 11th chapter is 186 pages, and then she has epilogues and announcements. So I stand corrected. This book is only 186 pages. You can read this riding to work, on the bus, I don't know, folding clothes, right? Porsha did give a note. She said, to protect the privacy of my loved ones and other people who I've met and will rather forget. Some names have been changed, others have been erased. Now, there was something early on. God, this heat and air conditioning gets on my nerves. There was something early on where a lot of people honestly did feel that Porsha kind of name dropped. Hey, welcome Joshua McDowell. Welcome Maria Harris. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome everybody. So listen, there was a thing where a lot of people, I'll drop the call in link in a second. A lot of people were saying that Porsha just name dropped R. Kelly to get more views for the book. And I was very skeptical because I said, who would do something like that? But I do find it odd that out of all the men that she says have taken advantage of her, Cordell, who was on TV that we know about, and R. Kelly are the only named men. Everybody else is kind of like, I don't know. So anyway, right? Let's read the prologue, right? She said, I thought you knew. If you thought you knew my life after watching me in reality TV, get in and buckle your seatbelt because it's about to get really real. After starring season after season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, I felt there was still so much I never got a chance to say in those confessionals or never got to express in the reunions between throwing shade and receipts. So I opened my life here, page by page, to share my truth, my strength, and my pursuit of the real Porsha. Some of what I'm about to share will be tough to hear. It was even tougher to write. That's why it took me years to do. Porsha literally said on numerous interviews and even Variety, she only spent a year writing this book. And girl, if it took you a year to write 186 pages, okay, right? Let's get into it. Although I knew God wanted me to bring my voice to my story and my testimony, I avoided writing a book for a long time because any good book is your truth on paper. Portia's truth is 186 pages. It's laying yourself bare and having to face yourself, your failures, and even your fears. But the way I've been blessed, I believe it's my duty to tell stories as a testimony for other young girls and women. I went from being homeless while starring on The Real Housewives to owning 2 successful businesses. Not to mention, I'm co-hosting the nationally syndicated talk show Dish Nation and Bravo's new late night talk show Chat Room, while also making headway into scripted television. So, I guess this kind of answers our questions, right? I guess this kind of you want to know who our ghostwriter is? Anybody that had 20 extra minutes. B, I guess this answers our question about whether Porsha chose to quit Dish Nation or whether she was kind of like not asked to come back. Because I'll be honest with you, from her even mentioning this, her decision to leave Dish Nation was not one that she thought out. This book had gone to publish, I think it started in August. It hit the publisher after the edits. I don't think that Porsha expected to leave Dish Nation, because if she did, why is she shouting this out? The new late night talk show, Bravo Chat Room, we know that was actually not renewed. I know what you guys are saying. She got a second season, but that was Andy being nice, letting them basically take over Watch What Happens live slots to see if they can make the chat room work. It looks like the chat room has not worked because it hasn't been confirmed, but that's just me, right? She goes on to say, if there's one person I can touch with my story and save from making the same mistakes I did, then it was all worth it. Honestly, it was all worth it. Anyway, because it made me the woman, the mother, the daughter, and friend I am today. So y'all, I just want you to know that this right here, this is Porsha's origin story. You want to know the mind. Listen, everybody got an origin story. Jesus had an origin story, and so did the devil. I'll let you decide which one she is, but this is her origin story. Oddly enough, her origin story only took 186 pages, right? She said, every sparkling diamond has been put under pressure. I'm no exception. Some of that pressure you've seen on television, but other moments you have no idea until now. Sometimes when you watch someone on TV, you think you know her, but the woman you've seen on the show is a small piece of me, a character at times. I believe that. Even this book is a small piece of my blessed-filled life, but I hope that after laughing and crying with me, you understand the fullness of Porsha and how I became the proud Black woman I am today. All right, girl, let's get into it. I've faced depression, heartache, and pain, and I've used joy, happiness, and my unwavering faith to get me through. Thank you for loving so more to me on this journey called life. You ready? Girl, we're ready. Let's go, right? So Porsha starts off in chapter 1 talking about her childhood. She says that she always had some type of affinity to being on camera. She recounts about her being in Decatur, Georgia, in her mom's house, basically pretending like she's on the Home Shopping Network, right? She's in front of the camera. She would record herself. They try to make it really deep, but at the end of the day, it's like every kid that grew up around cameras has them joking around on either their cell phone or Porsha on a camcorder. Okay, fine, right? She did say that she said that at the time I was living with my mom, who everyone else called Miss Diane. During the week and visiting my dad, Hosea, on the weekends. My parents had split at the time, right? She said that she spent a lot of time in her room, right? Because, right? Nerva said, hey, Nerva, what's up? So I'll give shout outs in a second. Porsha said that it felt like the only place where I felt comfortable to ask for more of myself and see more for myself rather than the flat-chested, skinny, big-eyed stick. Hateful words that I'd heard from other kids call me at school that I somehow believed to be true. I wanted to be more than the girl the kids called ugly, the one they called lame. Listen, for this, I know that I'll give Porsha a pass. This is your childhood, our childhood stereotypes. Clearly, we see by how much she's altered herself, being flat chested, being skinny, being called a big eye. It really, really hurt her, and it stayed in her heart. And again, I think all of us, to Porsha's credit, I think all of us, we talk about the shit that went on in our childhood. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people can tell stories and we're just like, oh my God, call CSI. But a lot of us, when we tell the stories of what really hurt us, people are like, okay, girl, like move on, right? Listen, she said, at the time, I could have never imagined some 2 decades later, millions will be watching me through similar black lenses, falling in love with me through my triumphs, heartbreaks, my mistakes, and what I've overcome. Um, this is the issue that Porsha is. She actually hit on something here because this is the issue that Porsha is actually having with her PR campaign. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and they actually submitted this theory, and I think it's an actually good theory, right? Because first of all, 2 decades later, girl, you're 40. You just said that you were a little girl dancing in front of your mama's camcorder. So aren't you trying to say maybe 3.5 decades later, unless you were literally at Miss Diane's house talking about, hey, welcome to the Porsha show, and playing Home Shopping Network with your dolls 20 years ago, 5 years before you got married to Cordell. The timeline's a little off, but they're trying to be deep, right? But at the time when she said she could never imagine 2 decades later, that millions will be watching and falling in love with her through her triumphs, heartbreaks, mistakes, and what she's overcome. And Porsha hit on something because that is her magic. America fell in love with the person that they saw. Someone being played, someone not afraid to laugh at themselves, somebody very open. And you kind of feel like you're watching a good friend and maybe even yourself go through these trials and tribulations of basically being chewed up and spit out by the world, right? We saw her being embarrassed by men. We saw her being played by men. We saw her falling into toxic friendships. I mean, I think she was a part of it, but I'm just saying it on face value. And people really, really fell in love with Porsha. Porsha's problem, she's up against now, and this is why she needs a new PR team. Porsha's problem that she's up against now, or actually she needs to, I don't know what she needs, because she has like a PR team, but I think because she's lying so much, it's hard to keep up. Your client has to be, we all saw Olivia Pope. Your client has to be a little bit honest with you. Porsha's issue is we saw her be manipulated, being played, be lied to, be do this, do that, and be around some really cold-blooded people. And it made us say, damn, Porsha, right? Like, we feel you. But Porsha is now on TV trying to manipulate the public, trying to lie to the public, trying to put lipstick on a pig. Porsha doesn't realize that you are now showing us that you are more similar than the people that have hurt you in life than you care to admit and that we wanted to see. So now you got someone that's like, I was feeling sorry for you because this dude played you, or this dude made you feel silly, or this and that. But now I see you're gaslighting. You're out for self. You're selfish. You have agendas. You are more closer than you'd like to admit to these people that we fell in love with you being like, oh. So now it's like, wait a second. Were you the antagonist or were you the protagonist? Because right now the math ain't mathing, and the more we get to know you, the more we see that the underdog, the person everybody liked, yeah, that's not really you. Again, this is your origin story, right? Listen, I understand they fell in love with her childish ways, but we're getting to see by the way she's spinning this stuff with what happened between her, Fallon, and Jalen. We're beginning, and of course Simon, we're beginning to see that she's not childless. She's actually really, really calculating. She's really plotting. She's very selfish. The only thing is she's not that. I mean, she's intelligent, but not in the ways that she needs to be right now. Porsha's very emotionally intelligent, but right now, for Porsha's image to really get raised up, Porsha needs to have a bit of self-awareness. And Porsha, I don't think and she talks about in the book why she doesn't have self-awareness. But right now, the intelligence she needs right now is self-awareness. And Porsha is she's a very unaware person of how she's coming across. When the tide goes, when she's in that emotional intelligence, but when people close their emotions off to her and start seeing the moves she makes, that's when Porsha gets messed up. And this is what Porsha needs to realize. Like, you're on a battlefield you cannot win. I don't think Porsha's stupid. I think she's one of the most emotionally intelligent people we've seen come across reality TV. And she's a great actress. But emotional intelligence isn't going to work right now because Porsha, you cannot be the predator. You know what I'm saying? And claim emotional intelligence, but even then you would need some self-awareness to apply the emotional intelligence to see how she's coming across. And I don't think she has it in her. Maybe she doesn't want to, maybe she can't, I don't know, but that's the issue that I see what's going on right now. But let's get into this book, right? She talks about, once her room was her salvation. She would listen to Jodeci. She didn't understand what it was, but baby, I love to sing a good love song to pass the time. So she was very isolated in her childhood, is what she's saying. She's saying that she loved her brother. She was a bit of a tomboy. At her mama's house, her older brother Hosea was her most cherished son, and at my father's house, he seemed to rule everything. She loved her brother. She idolized her brother. Seems like they have a very good relationship. I think what she's trying to hint at in this first chapter is she was kind of cast aside. She was the leftovers. Her brother had a place. Lauren had a place. Porsha was just literally, sitting there coloring, listening to Brandy, sitting in my room. Dun, 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 dun. I must confess, I'm a mess for. Okay, so anyway, now she did say, and this is a trigger warning for anyone. She did said, even though she considered her mom, trigger warning, even though she considered her mom her best friend, she couldn't tell her mom all the thoughts running through her head. She said, I can't tell my mom that I held a bottle of pills, thinking about swallowing all of them, but deciding against it because I feared I'd be brain dead and definitely didn't want to be that. Now, it appears when she was feeling this way, she was 8 or 9 years old. I said, how, and again, depression is real, childhood depression is real. And I said, my first question was, where did an 8 or 9-year-old get a bottle of pills? To which my mind said, well, she must have gotten them from her mom. Well, took them from her mom. To which I said, her mom didn't notice a whole bottle of pills were missing. To which I thought, how many bottles of pills did Miss Diane have? that she didn't notice that Porsha snuck away. That was just what was going through my head. So she tells about how, she couldn't hold on these things, right? She talked about tying a scarf to a door, and did her mom know when that didn't tell her mom the surrender or relief she felt when her body would hit the floor. To which I was like, how old was you tying a scarf around a door? Was it the knob? How high were you? Again, I'm not getting into logistics. I believe this. I do not question people when they say that they are dealing with mental health issues. So we'll just take this on face value, right? We'll just take this on face value, but the logistics of it. But then again, I think this goes into how young Porsha actually was when all this was going on, that she thought that she could tie a scarf to a bedroom door and just, transition herself, right? Now, she did say that she was very proud of her mom because her mom was like her best friend. She worked hard running daycares, Miss Diane, to give Porsha a certain lifestyle. She did all this stuff. And the one thing she missed from her mom was time, right? She said, my mother was quick to discipline me, but loved me beyond words, felt and knew what I didn't say. And I couldn't say. But so I struggled through middle school. She said that her mom actually put her in counseling with her older brother. And she went 2 times, but like most kids, she thought it was stupid. It's very hard to get children to get engaged in counseling. Okay, Porsha, right? And she said that at this point, she learned to mask all her feelings. Now we are watching the origin story, right? She said that she then links it into the depression. She came back full circle when 2 weeks after her ex-husband, Cordell, completely blindsided her while following her for her divorce. Now, we know from word on Atlanta streets, it wasn't blindsiding. Porsha knew something was up. And there were rumors that, around that time, she had started to be more out in the streets. Now, I will say to Porsha's credit, Cordell's very controlling. So I think his idea of being out in the streets was probably her going and getting mail from the mailbox. But let's go. You guys, we're about to get into the good part, but I'm setting this up because you guys have to know this, right? She said that the way the mask helped her was, I had to put on a brave face and fly to New York. This is after the divorce. Bravo, the network that airs The Real Housewives of Atlanta, where I just finished my first season, was holding annual upfronts. For those who don't know, television networks have what's called upfronts. These are big, elaborate, celebrity-filled parties. Girl, you mean to tell us a housewives upfront is celebrity-filled? Girl, shut up. Anyway, held every year where the networks present their latest slate of programming to lure advertisers in. She said she was picked. This is true, right? She said, I invested so much into my marriage, having given up my own businesses as well as my friends and family to be the perfect wife and stepmother. Now, just days after that life was ripped away from me, I had to talk to perfect strangers in the press who would seize the opportunity to get a soundbite for their stories, not realizing that their questions were piercing daggers to my very broken heart. Again, the lack of unself-awareness that you wrote this, but look at the way that you're treating Fallon, Simon's ex-wife. This sentence could have been written by Fallon about the way Simon discarded her, the way he now listen, we're not debating whether y'all think she deserved it or not, right? But that's for another live. But on this live, looking at it on paper, because Cordell said that he got rid of Porsha because she was a no good woman, and said that to everybody in ATL who would listen, that she was a no good woman and was spreading her business all over the streets, right? And he even accused her, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, of a bit of infidelity. This is the word on the streets. So I find it very funny that she has literally written a paragraph that Fallon Pimp could have written. Again, this goes into Porsha and her problem with not being self-aware. I know she has emotional intelligence, but right now she is not aware of the way she's coming across, or she doesn't care, or she can't help it, right? Listen, she said she ran to the bathroom inside the venue and let the tears fall freely. Her younger sister, Lauren, they're rubbing her back. Again, I think this is all hyperbole. I think she was very sad. I don't think that she started crying in tears in the middle of an upfront, because there would have been pictures or something to document it. Girl, you have on a whole face of makeup and you stayed till the very end. I don't believe this, right? Now, she said, right, when you get married, right, They're off the streets. Very interesting into her psyche. I'm setting this up, y'all, because we're about to come with the dirt, right? You think this is it, but it wasn't. Clearly, I just can't believe this is happening. I set my life up to be Cordell's wife, to be a mom. I didn't set my life up to do anything after because there was no after. That was it. I believe this. Miss Diane raised Porsha to be somebody's rich wife. Everything that she does is something to do in the meantime. I believe this. It's fine. Now, this is a cautionary tale for anyone that is going to give their power to another person. However, the one thing about this book that really struck me as odd, right? Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Okay. Also, just to remind you guys, sorry about that. My phone was out of my eye. Just to remind you guys, this is a members only chat. We will be taking questions and calls from members only. If you would like to sign up, it is only $4.99. Make sure you sign up. But what do you get? You don't just get access to the chat. If you guys don't know, I have a members only live where I spill piping hot tea about all things housewives, all things reality TV, and all things celebrity. We know flight attendants, we know bartenders, we know models, waiters, actors, we know everybody. So even if I'm betting you, even if you have questions, I can try to find out something about your fave. We also, because in a run up for this show, because it was so heavily hyped, we have a lot of behind the sign information for Porsha and Simon. The relationship that they decided to put on public display and force down our throat. I got the backstory on that because, like Dina said, the math ain't math, and the public wants to know. So I have a lot of backstories. I have a lot of interest. We even know who in that lives, in the members only lives, you can listen to them while you're at work, while you're walking, while you're doing whatever. We even know in the members only lives, right? We even know who Porsha was fighting, what's going on with her and Dennis, what the real deal is on Simon. You can watch that expose, but we have other stuff, right? Hey, Miss KK, you are not late to the party. You are just on time. And let's give a shout out to my new members that joined. What's up, Bright Eyes 78? Hey, Maria Harris. Hey, Joshua McDowell. And of course, Vicky. Thank you so much for that super chat, mama. Okay, now let's get back into the book, right? So you guys, join membership now. All right? Join the membership now. Okay. All right. Now, I will say, now let's get into this, right? Let's get into this. Hey, what's up, SS Pride? Now let's get into this, right? And you guys in the members, tell everyone that's watching this chat that can't comment. It's only $4.99, guys. You can cancel at any time. How good those lives are. Now, listen. Again, she was raised. I do believe she was raised to be a right. Now, funny thing is, Lauren, I didn't know she attended Spelman College. And Lauren had found a therapist because Lauren said that she thinks that her therapist told her, well, her therapist told her that a lot of issues she has goes back to dad, right? Now, this is the part where things get weird. Portia starts talking about her dad's funeral. And these are her experiences. I can't say anything about that, right? But this is where you see Portia's ghostwriter, and I don't think Portia's ghostwriter is American because of the verbiage. Although it was September, it was a rather cold day for Atlanta, and before the service, I couldn't make myself move fast enough. No American says it was a rather cold day. I think her ghostwriter, she either got them off of Fiverr or they're somewhere in the UK in that area. But again, this is just me being a writer, knowing certain things about ghostwriters. It's like, okay, so your ghostwriter isn't American, which is no problem. I guess they would have, but it was a rather cold day for Atlanta. And before the service, I couldn't make myself move fast enough. Okay, now listen, it's odd that she always is talking third person by what she saw Lauren experience. She says, and she said that she spent the funeral staring at the back of Lauren's head. This is interesting because it lets us know through the funeral, she wasn't sitting in the row with Hosea's wife and that family. They sat there in the row behind her, which I thought was odd because it should have been the all the kids together. I thought that was odd, but it's letting us know a little bit about Portia's family dynamic. She said, I even fell asleep for a little. She said, Lauren fell asleep for a little bit, probably not wanting to see her father that way anymore. Again, an odd way, because when she's talking about the way Lauren acted in this funeral, she makes it seem like Lauren is a bit bratty, a bit immature. They're all children, right? And that she was the more mature one. Okay, fine, right? But here's the interesting thing where she gives us a glimpse into her personality. She says, my dad was like me in many ways. He was attractive, flashy, the type of guy who walked in a room and made you wonder, who is that? Our family has a really bad wait. Our family has really bad vision, so he always had on a pair of glasses, the kind that turned dark in the sun. It always looked like he had shades on, even when he pulled them off. All right, so you see yourself as your dad, right? Now, here's another interesting thing. She just said her dad was super. You guys, I know it's a setup. Just follow me on this because we're getting somewhere, right? He said, when it came to his family, my dad was really warm. But when it came to business, he was demanding and at times cold hearted. In fact, he loved to press buttons. He was the type where he could yell, F you, and hang up the phone. And people would still say, Hosea, you crazy, but we love you for it. All right, so we see the prototype for it, right? Now, here's the thing, right? She talks about when her dad passes away, very sad. She kept saying, it's alive, it's alive. These things, it's odd to me that they only get at most 2 pages. Just like when she was talking about her wishing she wasn't alive when she was a kid and what she struggled to, only get a couple pages, which makes me think, how is this a book for young girls? Because while you tell us the BS you went through, you never even share ways that other people can help alleviate their pain. And this is the thing, which comes off as very, very self centered. You say, oh, my mother knew. But if I'm reading this and we're going through the same stuff and I'm looking for a way out, I don't have your mother. You talk about like the pain you felt with your dad, but your mom pulled you through. And it makes me wonder again, what is the demographic? Are you sharing your experiences? But for someone to share in your pain, they want to share in how you pulled your way out of it. And Portia just glances over that. And I get why people are saying it doesn't actually feel real, because when you do have the chance to really speak your thing and get very, very deep, you choose to keep everything surface level. It's almost like you're writing a book full of sound bites. But we're about to get into this R. Kelly chapter because the R. Kelly chapter is deep, right? She talks about her mother. She talks about her dad. She basically calls her dad, in my vision, a sociopath. Let's get into that. She said that, her mom was devastated when her dad left. She didn't understand it, right? This is interesting. She said, when she talks about her dad cheating, she said, I wouldn't find out until I was much older that infidelity was the source of my mother's pain, a pain that I'd become too intimately familiar with in my own relationships because decades later, unfortunately, it wasn't just a once or twice that my dad forgot his vows to my mom. Interesting that she'll accept once or twice. It was a kind of disrespect that had my calm, understanding, gracious mother going full on Bernadine from Rating to Excel and cutting up my dad's $1,000 suits. I can believe that. Cheating and disrespect will do that to someone. Now, she did point out that her dad met Lauren's mom a year after the divorce, and it confused her because she didn't like having to see her dad every other weekend. While her dad tried to be apart, he didn't live in the home, and he really felt that she really felt that she lost something. She said her mom was great. They had a great co-parenting relationship full of respect and maturity. Now, right? She goes on to talk about her dad's cheating and the way she dealt with it. She says, it didn't help that I saw my father's cheating with my own 2 bright eyes. He dragged me on dates with his girlfriend around Atlanta, not hiding his indiscretion. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Let's celebrate. Oh, we have a few new members. Hold on. I just want to celebrate the new members. Welcome, Tia and Herring. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Who else do we have? Bright Eyes again. Hold on, hold on. So, in any case, you guys, welcome TM Hearing. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tattle Tells. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's get into this. Okay, so one second. So, back to, because this is really interesting, you guys. I want you guys to hear this, right? Portia now talks about her father's infidelity and how basically he's a sociopath. And again, listen, if you are the child of an abuse, you have the right to speak your story. That should be their shame, not hers. Okay? So I applaud her effort, but it's very interesting, right? She said, it didn't help that I saw my father's cheating with my own two bright eyes. He dragged me on dates with his girlfriend around Atlanta, not hiding his indiscretions to his eldest daughter. Unknowingly, he created a confusing path forward for every single romantic relationship I'd have, where lies and secrets and cheating felt so common. They were inconsequential. Y'all. She literally said it was inconsequential. Then she said, I had to read my father's secret. It was a burden I didn't want and I definitely didn't deserve. Now, she said, by watching his moves and listening to the words of my father didn't say, I learned what it meant to lie to the ones you love at a young age, and I learned the consequences when I dare tell the truth. Now, y'all, this is where it gets thick, right? She said, I remember there was one time I was with my father when he went to his girlfriend's apartment. So at this point, he was cheating on Lauren's mom. I was around 10 years old and didn't realize the rules of running around. I didn't know that you could see things that weren't supposed to be repeated. I mean, I was raised in a household where we told another everything, or that at least I thought we did. Now, this was a little confusing because you saw your mom blow up at your dad for cheating, but it's a messed up situation that your dad even put you in there, right? He said, being slow to dad's new rules, I had told Lisa what I'd seen, which apparently I wasn't supposed to do. So on his Lisa, of course, is Lauren's mom. She said, so on his next date with his girlfriend, instead of inviting me inside, my father made me wait in the car for hours, watching the sun burn its way across the sky at a snail's pace, my eyes following the sun below the horizon, hoping he'd come by the car to check on me and to offer me a reprieve inside. But no, he sat inside with her. My little brother would periodically peek his head out of her apartment to check on me and make sure I was okay. My four-door purgatory was apparently my punishment for opening my mouth. It was my sentence for telling his truth. Portia literally said that her dad would take her and her brother Hosea to his side piece's place to mess around. And Portia accidentally, or not accidentally, but she didn't even know it was a big deal, told Lauren's mom where she had been. And for that, the next time her dad took her, I don't know why, okay, the next time her dad took her and her brother to it, Portia was literally locked in the car in the hot Georgia sun like a dog, while the brother would go check on her because she was no longer allowed in that woman's house as a punishment. Y'all, if that's not mental abuse and saying your dad is a low-key narcissist and psychopath, I don't know what it is. I really do. Listen, it goes on though. She said, it wasn't the only time my dad locked me away, which is a trigger I still carry with me to this day. My father would lock me and my brothers in the bathroom, in bedrooms, the laundry room, the basement when we were acting and making too much noise as children. The doors were never actually locked, but we understood our punishment was that we could not leave. One by one, we were placed in separate rooms. Now, this was confusing to me because I was like, where was Lauren's mom? Was she letting y'all be locked in rooms? But I guess, right? Is that something they do in Atlanta? I never heard about this. She said, I don't think my dad meant any harm by it. It was just his way of putting us in timeout. To him, it was better than spanking us. But being a naive dad and an experienced dad, he would oftentimes forget about us. We would be in those rooms all day and sometimes until nighttime. She said, but other days we long to get out. Because she said that, like, literally, like, it became a way of life. They were just locked in and their dad would forget about them. But she said someday, and they would just be cool. But she said some days we long to get out. It felt as if we made one mistake, we'd be sent away. What my dad likely thought was was convenient or less violent punishment ended up having its own repercussions. Now here's the thing: when my mom would ask how our weekend with the dad was, we hid it, we lied, we dressed up our pain, and then when we detached from it, this form of punishment. Again, you lied to your mom, but where was Lauren's mom while this was all going on? Again, let me know. This form of punishment birthed my need to be absolutely perfect. I became terrified of making any sort of mistake or not living up to the expectations men have for me because I learned that if I did and make a mistake, I'd be left alone and locked up. Y'all. Now, she said she didn't realize the punishment, it felt like a normal punishment to her, so she didn't know anything was all. This is where it gets like, y'all, somebody called Child Protective Services. She said, we found ourselves lucky when we were locked in enjoying rooms. My little brother Britton and I figured out a way to talk to each other through the vents, desperate to talk with someone or desperate to strategize how we get out. We'd often play, not it, trying to decide who would ask daddy if we could come out of time out. She said, I didn't understand, but I soon realized that if I wanted to be around him, I'd have to behave and keep my mouth shut. She goes on to saying that she somehow got the courage one time to ask her dad, can she come out? And her dad let everybody come out, right? Her dad let everybody come out. They had pizza, this and that, but her dad was almost like a monster. Sometimes he treated her like a dog and kicked her, a dog you hate and kicked her. And other times she treated her like, yo, you're my best friend. You're the apple of the eye. I see how Porsha is starting to set the standard for her abuse. But all I can say to this is, where was Lauren's mom and where was Lauren? Because in all these stories, it was always Porsha and her brothers. Where was Lauren and where was Lauren's mom while this was going on? Again, I'm not doubting this happened. I just want like more backstory. And the way Porsha tries to tell us horribly evil things and then say, oh, it's because he was a naive dad. He was inexperienced. You were 4 kids in at this point. What is you talking about? But I guess, right? Um, uh, oh, but here's the thing. She talks about how much she loves and family and this and that, right? She said, when my father got sick, things changed. He was also raised with a blended family and thought it was really important that kids stayed close no matter what. So my brother and I would spend every other weekend at my dad's house in Stone Mountain, which was 30 minutes away from my mother's house. We'd run around with Lauren and my younger brother, Britton, who had a different mother. After he died, though, we stopped going over there. We never really got together anymore. Again, Portia said that she loves, that they're a close family and all this, but after the dad died, he was kind of the glue that was holding them together. So does Portia mess with her family or not? I didn't get that. Y'all let me know. But we're about to get into the meat and details. Let's take a break really quick. This is a members only chat. Let's see what the members only are saying, and then we will get back into this, right? Oh, she does express regret before I go to the members only chat, that she never walked across the stage in graduation. She was not mad, but very sad. Of course, when your dad dies when you're young, I think this is a common thing, and like sympathy to Porsha that, her dad never got to meet her daughter. Her dad never got to walk her across stage. Her dad never did a lot of stuff, right? So she said that she felt that she was in a very, very chaotic situation, right? Now, here's the funny thing. She said, no matter what people have chosen to believe after watching my first season of Housewives, being a housewife off screen was a persona I am still getting used to. I hadn't mastered it yet. Girl, shut up. You were raised to be a kept woman. She said, I was raised to be a boss. Child, I died. Portia. Okay, so anyway, right? Having been raised by an entrepreneur who owns this, okay, she talks about her mom in Atlanta, right? She talked about how in the daycare she'd go above and beyond, she'd go above and beyond taking care of families with 4 or 5 children, doing this. They'd eat 2 meals plus stack. Now, this is the thing I thought was interesting, and this is when it comes into Porsha fluffing. She's talking about the daycare her and her mom's own. We go above and beyond because I felt like our duty to not only take care of these children, but to put them in a position to excel. Oftentimes, we'd be taking care of families with 4 or 5 children who might not have been eating well at home. But at our daycare, they'd eat 2 meals plus snacks. We even put some of the children in sinks to bathe them because their young parents needed an extra hand. Let me tell y'all something. Porsha's mom and Porsha had gotten into, remember in the, was it 80s, 90s, 2000s, where the welfare bill was rewritten so that thanks to Bill Dumb Clinton, he really, really messed things up. It used to be that welfare would pay you to go to college, pay you to go to school, pay you to really better yourself if you were a single mom. And while you were in college, they would give you bus fare, transportation, pay your tuition. They would even help you with your kids. Now, it was meant back then because everybody was so racist. It was meant for people that were not minorities, right? The people that were minorities started using these programs. And then the Republicans said, no, 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 no. That wasn't for y'all. That was for us. It wasn't for you. So Bill Clinton passed the Welfare Reform Act. One of the things they said is we're no longer paying you to get educated. We'll pay Walmart. This is true. We'll pay Walmart. If Walmart's paying you $8 an hour, we'll give Walmart tax breaks and we'll pay Walmart $8 an hour just to employ your ass because you guys are lazy and you need to work. This is what, hey, Lisa, thank you so much for the super chat. This is where that whole welfare queen ideal came from. It was nothing but propaganda. It never existed. But Republicans were so worried that people that look like this and not this, right, were benefiting from their tax dollars. Around that time, what they said also is if you are on welfare, you must work a few hours. That's how they got you out to Walmart, Taco Bell, those low paying jobs. It didn't have insurance or anything. And your kids would have to go into daycare. They would literally pay people to start daycares. It was a very lucrative business to start daycares. And for every child they had, they would get money from the state. This is how they were dividing the money they would use to give the moms and the school. It went into different sources. Again, I'm sure Miss Diane has a great heart. I'm sure Porsha loves little kids. But for her to act like we give them 2 meals plus snacks, that was one of the mandates that if you were an authorized daycare provider, you had to offer 2 meals and a snack to all kids. We were taking care of families with 4 or 5 children. Yes, because the state was paying you. This was not a charity. That kind of annoyed me where I was like, you didn't have to lie and fluff up what your family was doing because you guys were already doing a lot. But to make it seem like you were doing this out the kindness of your heart, girl, get out of here. Thank you so much for the super chat, Lisa Simmons. And also for you guys just joining us, I'm about to go to the super chat. I'm about to go to the chats, but this is a members only chat. Join it. It is $4.99. For all you guys annoyed that I'm always advertising my memberships, go to another channel because, girl, this train ain't stopping. Listen, it's $4.99. Sign up. It's a really good thing. We have another really good members only live coming up. And the last one, listen, I dropped some real tea and it's going to blow your mind. You can cancel it anytime, but I guarantee you it's going to be the best $4.99 you ever spent. Now, getting into this, right? Porsha also shows a little bit into personality. You guys, this is very important backstory because we're about to get into the R. Kelly. Thank you, B. Thank you for the super chat. We're about to get into this R. Kelly mess. Porsha says, right, that she was in charge of firing people. And she said, when I let people go, I didn't just say, you're fired, now get going. I really wanted to emphasize that they were only fired because we valued them and they had disappointed us. I thought that was so odd and very cruel. Anyone that's ever been in a management position or even as a people person knows that when you fire someone, you don't say, hey, thank you so much, Alexander McCurdy and Miss conceited 81. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And also, listen, you guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. Teresa Grisette, woo, welcome to the Tattle Tells fam. And also, thanks so much, guys. Okay, so here we go. Now, you don't just say people you disappointed. You say, like, listen, we really, really loved working with you. I think you have a lot of talent. I think you have a lot of everything, razzle dazzle. But I think that we need to find something more suitable to your unique talent. Why would you want people to know that I valued you and you disappointed us? It lets me know a little bit about her personality, that she is a very punishing person. Now, I'm not saying she's a sociopath out there, but, you know, people, and again, very good people I know have punishing natures. What does that mean? You have to stay on their good side. But there is something where it's like, I value you and I need to let you know how much you disappointed me, right? Um, so um she talks about how she was made fun of boys in middle school for being flat chested and having big eyes. Those same boys were now falling over themselves to ride around Atlanta with my filled out chest and eyes that were described as dreamy. That it's funny how your worst qualities become the things that make you desirable. Portia's chest didn't get filled out until she filled them in with Dr. Kerr's Miami. She's writing this from a perspective before Dr. Curves took in. She hadn't even met Cordell at this point. Again, it lets you know the dissonance. It lets you know a lot, but it also lets you know the ghostwriter should have fact checked. But I think that for the ghostwriter to fact check, the author should have come in and let them know how to, should have gone into it. It's like, again, it's just the dissonance. But again, how as a ghostwriter do you know somebody's lying unless the author's like, no, 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 it's before then? It's like she had like, and again, Portia's eyes are dreamy, but the filled out chest, Portia. Okay, girl. So anyway, let's get into this mess. We're almost there, right? She talks about her time in a video at being a video girl. One thing about Portia that I find interesting in this book, and if you read this book, you'll see there are people that want to say, hey, I'm just like you. And I've been through ups and downs. So, girl, don't worry. Let me lift you up because I've been there. And it's cool. You're going to get through it. Portia seems to be very, very concerned in this book with saying that she's not like the other girls. Her pick me energy is very coming out because even when she's talking about saying, she said, I sold furniture. This is when she first got into entertainment. I sold furniture, and truth be told, I was the number one salesperson on that floor. I did a bit of modeling. I even became a video girl. And no, not like a video hoe or anything like that. I was more like a pretty face for casting directors who would book for music videos to dance beside, sit beside, or fake laugh beside whatever rapper was putting B-roll to his songs at the moment. In Atlanta, home of so deaf recordings and disturbing the peace, there was plenty of opportunity. Girl, again, she is desperate to prove I'm not like those hoes over there. What do you mean? That is the definition of a video girl. Is anybody really thinking that all video girls are like superhead? I just assume that when I see girls, that is exactly what they're paid for. Dancing, sitting beside, and fake laughing beside, right? She said in her early 20s, I was on the set of a music video for 8 Ball and MJG, right? And she said, I don't judge. And she said, I didn't need any of that. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted something more for myself. So she's talking about how all the girls are sitting literally hating for the sidelines, right? Because she said, I just finished getting my hair and makeup done on set. And that's back when they had budgets for glam. They never had budgets for glam, Portia. She said, and I was sitting near craft services where the crew had set up lunch with a variety of snacks. I grabbed my food and sat down at a table by myself, away from the crowd. I didn't mind sitting and eating by myself until it was time to do my part for the music video. I was better than looking thirsty or competing with the other girls who were all up in the artist's face, trying to get a moment, get a look or a moment or a number, whatever they wanted. And that's when she said, I don't judge. It's just that I didn't need any of that. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted something more for myself. Girl, this is pick me energy and the epitome of judging because I find it funny, right? I find it funny when people are in the same boat doing the same thing, but they want to turn around and be like, oh, no, 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 but not how you doing it, right? You're on the video, you're getting glammed up, you're the same person dancing, and there's no shame in dancing. I'm not saying that, but you're in the exact same situation, but you are somehow sitting by craft services by yourself, talking about, I'm not thirsty like those other hoes. Again, it lets you know into the mindset. She comes across as on TV as a girl's girl, but it lets you know that she's not a girl's girl. She is always in competition. And more than that, she's always apprising herself of how things would look to outside people, if that makes any sense. She's always thinking about how things look to outside people, where she falls in ranking, in hierarchy. To me, it speaks of somebody very, very, to me, like a little bit maybe insecurity, but also a bit of jealousy. Because y'all, let's be real. If you don't want to be bothered with people and you want to go take your food and go sit there, why are you sitting there worried about what all the other girls do and saying, I'm not thirsty like them, but you at the same photo shoot, right? But whatever, right? She literally said that this guy came up and said, why are you over here sitting? I'm sorry, why are you over here sitting by yourself? And she was like, well, she said, looking up and deciding to answer him honestly, because she's such an open soul. Because I'm here working and I don't like to talk to people while I'm on set. So whatever it is you're about to say, I'm not interested. Y'all, who wants to bet this conversation never happened? This is reading like fan fiction, right? He said, word, he replied. A broad smile couldn't help but spread itself across his chocolate brown face. The way he was smiling at me made me almost regret my stupid on set rule. Portia's trying to say that she was a determined businesswoman trying to make her way to the top by doing video things, and she had an on-set rule. Girl, shut up. She said, no, I don't talk to people when I'm on set. I repeated, moving my eyes reluctantly down to my plate of food. Unnerved, he sat down. We ate in silence until he finally gave up on that idea, realizing I was dead serious. I didn't see him on set for the rest of the way. That didn't stop him from giving a production assistant a piece of paper with his name and a number on to pass to me, right? Can't hit a man for trying. Whatever. Now, so this man actually happened to be Clinton Portis. She said, I had no clue who he was and what he did. I later learned that he was a star running back for what's known as the Washington football team. But back then it was called the Washington Redskins, a name no one liked because of obviously how racist it was. Back then, I never thought to Google someone's person's name. It was just not something me and my girls did back then. Girl, you were dating this man for months and you ain't bothered. Forget about Googling him. You never friends you didn't know. She said it wasn't until he flew her out that she realized that he was a running back, that he was a famous football player. And he said that's what he liked about. Now, this comes again with Porsha judging, right? She said, once I landed in the FedEx Field, 80,000 seat stadium in Prince George's County, Maryland, where I'd have to mingle with the other football players' girlfriends or wives, I immediately noticed the strangest thing. All the wives and girlfriends were white. I was the only black girl staring back at them. On a team that had over 50 players, the majority of them being black men, why was I the only non-mixed brown-skinned girl back there? It was weird, plain and simple. All right, good point, right? She said they were off. She said, but when it came to getting serious or getting married, when it came to being inside the coveted stadium backs, which earned you respect with the fellow girlfriends or wives, we wouldn't be there. They married white girls. Even if girl was mixed, she still stayed out the sun and got blonde streaks put in her hair to really blend in. Who is she talking about? What? How do you know that there's a mixed girl getting blonde streaks in her hair put in and staying out of the sun in order to look more white? Again, her hating tendencies comes out. Porsha is not a girl's girl, right? She said, but she was proud to be with Portis because he was proud to be with a black woman. Now, here's the weird part where I'm like, Porsha's self-awareness is on zero, right? Porsha's self-awareness is on zero. This is a very important part, right? Let me see. Any of the Tattle Tells, join. Let me say hi to my Tattle Tells. Hold on. Hey, Kenny. Kenny said for reading. Kenny said, hold on. Let me get this super chat from Kenny. Kenny said, wait, do I have the super chat? Hold on, Kenny. Where's your super chat? Kenny told me, thank you. Oh, here you go. Thank you for the super chat, Kenny. You said, thank you for reading this book so I don't have to. Thank you for your service. Listen, we're about to get into the Untitled chapter. That's when shit blows up. Bridget Owens, welcome to the Tattle Tells. Welcome to the Tattle Tells, Bridget Owens. And also, just so you guys know, let me put my charger in. Just so you guys know, if you guys are interested, this is a members only chat. You must be a member to join the Tattle Tells. Listen, but the membership doesn't just get you me reading you guys bedtime stories, right? Or afternoon work stories as it was. I also have a gang of content of exclusive behind the scenes tea. And y'all, I guarantee, I know you've been on YouTube. I know you guys are tired of the recycled content. Now, a lot of people do great things, right? We got Grace Report. We got Layla Lim. We got Up and Adam, right? There's all different flavors going on. We got the ladies first panel. We got Erica De Niro. Bondi Blue, Rodney the Voice, right? We got Niecy Dixon. We got Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Jamie, that's me. We got all these people doing Mel NYC reviews. We got all these people on the YouTube streets, Judgy Justice, doing big things. But I want to tell you that my specific, right? And everybody's doing big things, but my specific brand of flavor, if you like a little bit behind the scenes, if you like my spin on it, if you like exclusive tea, Tasha K shouting me out, Candy shouting me out, that lets you know my tea is legit enough for them to even acknowledge it. Because you know Tasha K say something good, you doing something right. And the same thing with Candy Burrs, because she don't play around with her name at all. Let me stop spreading it around before she like literally just like, let me tell you YouTuber not to watch. But anyway, you guys, consider joining the membership. It's only $4.99. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. Holidays is coming. You don't need that extra cupcake. You do not need that extra cupcake. You don't need none of that. $4.99, and you can cancel at any time, And thank you to my biggest stalker fan. I've been seeing the messages you're leaving all over Instagram. Thank you to my biggest stalker fan for knowing that my membership is $4.99. I'm glad you like sitting there listening to me. Woo! Listening to me why I'm talking about you. I hope that makes you feel good. Okay. So I got a little stalker that doesn't like the tea I be spilling about him because it's too legit. But anyway, let's get into this. Now, here's the thing. Now, she just talked about how, there's not a lot of Black women on football teams. This is true, right? She talks about even one light-skinned girl that put blonde streaks in her hair and stayed out the sun. And I said, girl, shut up. Who are you talking about, right? But here's the weird thing. She said, I was the only one who would show up as a Black woman with my weave down on my butt and my baby hair popping on my forehead. It's sad, but I honestly think that's how I had an advantage. Because of my baby hair, I didn't look like a regular Black girl. Whatever the hell that means. Porsha is always trying to separate herself into Miss Special. Porsha Diane Williams, you put some damn edge control, some down eco styler, some damn Dax on your edges and swoop those edges. And you mean to tell us that you thought it was like putting on Batman and Bruce Wayne? Putting on Batman and Bruce Wayne, and you telling us that people thought you weren't Black, or I'm sorry, not a regular Black? I don't know how many people in Decatur told you when you laid your edges down, you look like you had Indian in your family. But girl, again, Porsha. She said, but I heard it enough times from men that I started to take their word at face value, even as it revealed just how devalued Black women are. Even though Black women come in so many different shades and hair textures and eye colors, somehow, thanks to my swoops and a little bit of edge control, I look more exotic and more palatable for that football player crowd. Y'all, who's going to be the twin to tell her? Who I feel like what is it? I feel like that TikTok where they're just like they're gonna know, and Portia's laying her edges down, and she's like, "How are they gonna know?" And it's like they're gonna know why she's brushing her weave. How are they gonna know? They're gonna know. And again, weave is not something that is in just the Black community. Everybody in America wears weave. This is like the new thing, right? So this isn't about the weave. This is the fact that you literally put some swoops on your edges, and you somehow thought that the reason why you were accepted is because they didn't think that you were regular Black. Why wouldn't they think you were regular Black, Porsha? Were you playing where you weren't regular Black? But more importantly, right? More importantly, the fact that you're sitting there, and this is Porsha, and maybe it's her self-consciousness, the fact that you're sitting there and you're judging and you're evaluating and you're scaling up everybody around you, but not because you feel nervous, not because you feel anxious, but because you have to be the number one and you're thinking of ways of why you're better than people. Girl, sounds like narcissism to me. Listen, thank you. So really let Lipstick say, listen, this is another thing, right? Lily said that like she's dated pro football players. Listen, what Porsha talks about, it has been spoken of plenty of times. However, and this is my issue with Porsha's book, whenever she talks about anything as it relates to her, she is not worried about passing a message. She is not worried about helping anyone. She is not worried about anything except making herself look good and what she can get out of a situation, which is fine. That is her right as a human. But her right as a human writing a book about how she struggled and how you can too. What is the thing? Like, anyway, we got better things to do, right? Oh, so then she went on to say that she went on, they were having a great relationship. She went on to, find out she was pregnant. And then the guy, when she told the guy she was pregnant, it seemed like they had a fine relationship. But when she told him she was pregnant, she said, I imagine the news that I was pregnant would be met with excitement, but sadly it wasn't. Instead, it was met with shock, skepticism, disappointment, coldness, and reluctance. She doesn't say how long they're dating, so I wonder, was it a dentist thing, or you date and then you get pregnant like 3 weeks later? I don't know. He said, okay, fine, Porsha. If you're going to have the baby, then I want it. And she said, excuse me, you want what? He said, I want the baby. After you give birth, give it to me and my mother, and we'll raise the baby, right? What I really wanted to say to him was, oh, hell no. I'd already gone to the doctor to confirm I was pregnant. I was so happy to be a baby and to be having this baby. I could barely hold in who my baby daddy was at the doctor's visit. I was even foolishly telling the doctor, I'm pregnant by Clinton Portis. Now, here's the thing with Porsha, and I'm not doubting this was very painful for her. But are you happy to be pregnant? Are you happy to be pregnant by Clinton Portis? Because right now, sounds a little strange. It sounds like you might have thought that you were going to trap a pro ball player. And when he said, which I don't think he was going to raise that baby, I think that he was letting her know you're going to be a single mom, and I know you're trying to trap me. And then she was like, okay, I'm not having the baby, right? She said, but it didn't take me long to realize my vision was one-sided. Clinton didn't want to have a baby with me. He wanted to make love with me, but he didn't want to have a baby with me. Ironic. Is it, Porsha? Is it ironic that somebody only wants to sleep with you but doesn't want to make a baby with you? Is that ironic? That's y'all, the irony. You want to do everything it needs to make a baby, but you don't want to have the baby. No, Porsha, they didn't want to. Like, that's not irony, but whatever, right? Okay. She said, as excited as I wasn't going to try to convince him. My pride had its limits and they were already being tested. I believe that. Anyway. And here's a funny thing. My pride is, she said, at this point, we've been on and off for a while, letting the years clock in behind us as we lived a carefree life. It wasn't a relationship that was supposed to lead here. This wasn't supposed to happen. But when it did, it opened my eyes to the possibility because of how much I loved him and how much I knew he loved me, but he just couldn't see it. So basically, Porsha is telling us a cautionary tale about how she was off and on with a man. Both of them were practicing unsafe sex, right? Both of them, because it takes two people to make a baby. You got pregnant not on purpose, right? You got pregnant not on purpose, and you just wanted him. You did the same thing you did to Dennis. There was no commitment. You guys have been off and on. It sounds like from this, you guys were off. You got pregnant, and he was like, fine, I'll take the baby, but I don't want to be with you. And because of that, you decided not to have the baby because you wanted a baby to be born in a family. That's your right. But it sounds like from what she said that it was an off and on carefree relationship. And it said, letting the years clock in behind us, and we lived a carefree life. So you had been messing with this man for a minute and you were living a carefree life. Sound like a very casual relationship. Yeah, you were his girlfriend, but he wasn't ready for anything more, at least more when it comes to a baby. At this point, they didn't even live together, right? Now, it was very sobering. Okay, I'll say that, right? She said, she was pregnant. He wanted me to just hand over our child like he had ordered it off of Amazon. I honestly still can't believe it. After he said those words, it was never the same. So you kept messing with him, which is my whole thing with Porsha. I understand being a victim. I understand going through these things, but the part I don't understand is she never explains why she didn't leave these relationships, and she never explains what was going on. It's almost as if you're saying you were victimized because you didn't get what you wanted. And here's the thing. I'm not saying she wasn't victimized, but from what I'm reading, it sounds like your idea of being a victim is to not get what you want out of a situation. That situation is having a baby. However, it seems like Porsha, because she keeps talking about all she wanted was a baby, all she wanted was a baby. It sounded like these accidents were not accidents, but also when it comes to bringing another life into the world, that is not something that you can impose on someone else and expect them to be on board with it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, listen, women do it all the time. You like, this is my baby, my choice, my body. I'm having a baby. Good for you. But Portia seems to also, and maybe this is the unevolved cancer side of her, of she wants the man to be have that fairy tale and be fully involved. And of course it's heartbreaking when that doesn't happen. But is that being victimized because people aren't reacting the way you want them to react to something you want? Do you see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying, right? Let's get into this. Let me say some new members. Hold on. Any new members join? This is like Christmas. I feel like, yay. Let's see. Oh, GA wants to know how old she is. It's a little fuzzy. She married Cordell when she was 25 or 24. So she's somewhere between 19 and 24 when this is happening, right? So she's still very young, right? You guys, I'm just saying, listen, we got 796 viewers and can y'all like this video? We got 796 viewers and like 20 likes. Can y'all stop Simon Gabodi and me? I'm reading y'all bedtime stories, doing the dramatic reinterpretation, keeping y'all company and entertained. I mean, I do it anyway because I love it. But come on, you guys, hit that like button, please, or sign up for the membership. Got me working. Got me out here working for free. And then she talks about, okay, you guys, we're about to get to the R. Kelly chapter, right? But we're talking about we're talking about the next guy. We're about to get to R. Kelly. You guys have to stay around for R. Kelly because this is shocking. We're actually going to listen. The R. Kelly chapter ain't that long, but we are going to read through it because it's very, very shocking, right? She talks about the guy she dealt with before R. Kelly. She called Country John. She said that Country John, when she got in the car, it made her feel protected. It made her feel everything that she missed when her dad was around. This and the third, and put some chapstick on. Everything that her dad was when she wasn't around, right? She felt close, she felt protected. And she said, like she did from time to time, right? She said, like she said from time to time, John, right? John would, hold on. She said, like she said all the time, John would give her a credit card to go shopping, right? Like, most guys that like if you got it, why not, right? She said that she didn't care that he was a country boy. He literally said, Southern John owned several franchises and had bought a plot of land in South Carolina that all his family lived on. He had built a home for his mother, his aunts, their kids, and he wanted to build himself his own home on that property so everyone could live in a makeshift village. She said, when you pulled up to the property, his aunties and them were sitting at the porch watching grass grow. The kids were playing outside. The dog was running around, barking in the wind. It really looked like a scene out of a picture book. She said the idea of creating a village, she said it really appealed to her. This in time, blah, 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 right? Great. So she was on it, right? She said Southern Jaw also had a white Hummer. So she's young. This guy got money. He got property. She wants to be a housewife. She is, even though she won't admit it and she ain't like the girls of the video, to which I say, how are the girls of the video like? It really was the fact that she was looking for a come up. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You want somebody financially stable, right? Now, here's the part where it gets weird. She said, one day he sent me to the mall with his credit card, which he'd often do whenever he wanted to buy me things. So I bought this beautiful bracelet and ring. She got in the car and she said, I bought a promise ring today. I told him casually after leaving the mall. He said, what? She said, I bought a promise ring. Remember we were talking about it? I didn't wait for him to answer me before I kept explaining what the new ring that's shown on my left hand means. It means that we're in a relationship and the love that we have and trust that we're building will lead us one day to be together. With this ring, you're promising to marry me one day. He said, all right, Porsha. She said, I couldn't help but notice a slight annoyance in his voice when he added, "But give me back my credit card. You doing too much." Porsha is calling herself a victim because a guy gave her a credit card to go get some stuff out the mall. She came back and bought herself a diamond ring. She says later on that she had been, because she had been very careful to calculate in her mind, where is it? She had been very careful. Oh, because he said later on, hold on, I got to tell you, right? Now, this upset him, right? She said they were driving they had gone away for a weekend, and he was erupting in rage. And he said, "I'm sick of this shit. You spent all this money on this ring, and I didn't even ask you to. You just took my credit card and bought a ring," he spat out, never looking in my direction. I had to correct him. "John, I didn't take your credit card. You gave it to me. And if that's a big deal, I'll take the ring back. It's not that serious. I don't want you arguing with me over a ring. I thought you loved me. I thought you wanted to give me a promise ring." He said, "Yeah, but I mean, you just can't take somebody's credit card and buy a promise ring. We talked about it, and the next thing you did was go to the mall and buy one. I didn't even ask you to do that." Portia's internal dialogue said, "It was true. I showed up at the mall with his credit card, a diamond in my eye, and a dream in my heart. I'm not sure what made me actually calculate how much 3 months' salary would be for John to figure out the size of the diamond he would eventually buy me, but I wanted so badly to be with him, to get my happily ever after, and more important, to make it happen for myself." Porsha is turning herself into a victim because this man, who by all accounts up to this point, we'll get into this, had treated her very well, right? Was even giving her his credit card and trusting it with her. They had one conversation about maybe maybe getting married one day. Porsha, he dropped her at the mall. Porsha went and said she calculated in her mind how much his 3 month salary was. And with that calculation, bought herself a diamond ring and a bracelet, and then got back into the car. And when he said, "You doing too much, we ain't talk about it all this time, blah, 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 blah," she painted herself as the victim. Y'all, you can't write this. You can't. And then said she had a diamond in her eye and a dream in her heart. You wanted so badly to be with them and to get your happily ever after. But if you really wanted to be with them, why didn't you just get a plain gold band and be like, "Babe, let's make this official"? Why did you buy them both rings like you did Simon? I'm being that serious. Of course, she keeps saying this whole time she had her own money, right? So hold on. Hold on. Y'all, I'm sitting here also dying. I'm done with 7-Eleven. I swear they got poison in their food. I'm done with 7-Eleven. Anyway, let's see. So that's where we're at. We're back to Porsha being goddamn delusional. How are you a victim? How are you a victim? Again, listen, the latest news that she's throwing up, this can't be true. I'm about to get into the members only chat, but how are you the victim? So listen, it gets even worse, right? It gets even worse. So she said, let's see, I didn't realize at the time, blah, 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 in my mind. Oh, what I didn't realize at the time was that my dream coming to fruition in the form of a ring would unintentionally build resentment in John's heart. Someone trusted you with their credit card, man or woman. I give my credit card to my babe, right? He ain't getting far because it's not buying a diamond ring, right? But let's just say I'm like, here's the credit card. Like, go get us 2 lattes, right? Somebody trusts you with their credit card to go get some stuff. You walk into a jewelry store, buy a ring because in your mind, you've literally clocked their finances to be like, this is probably how much you make. And this is, okay, so 3 months, so this is my budget. You buy your own self a ring and a bracelet and then says, "Babe, but this is my forever." Y'all, Porsha is not a very smart gold digger. See, here's the thing. I recognize game. I recognize what she was trying to do. you thought that you had some country boy that didn't know nothing about these city girls. You were like literally like city girls with a bag at, baby, with a bag at. You thought you had some country guy that didn't know, and you were running your city girl mess on him. Why'd you buy the bracelet? You said you walked in there with a dream in your house and you bought a ring and a bracelet. Why you buy the bracelet if you were so concerned about marriage? No, you were running up this country boy's pockets because you thought you had him. And he realized you thought you had him. Because again, who buys their own engagement ring? The engagement ring, whether it looks like Rockefeller or whether it is just one band, I always assumed, right, that it is a sign of love and commitment. So yeah, you want the man you're with to get you the biggest ring. You don't want your friends talking about you, but it's also a thing of love and commitment. And it's almost like your man buying you jewelry. It's how he sees you through his eyes. So it's not really something that you should be buying for yourself or that you would want to, but you took the credit card and bought it, and then you bought the bracelet. And then you made him feel stupid because clearly she says, what I didn't realize at the time was that my dream of fruition in the form of a ring would unintentionally build resentment in John's heart. With him wanting to spoil me, he probably thought he couldn't dare say it was too expensive. She thought she was running up that country boy's pockets, right? John turned everything amazing that we had done together and what he had done for me into a scenario in his mind where I manipulated and forced him to do it. I somehow had morphed into a mastermind who was taking his money and making plans for his life. But that's what you showed him. That's what you showed him. You denied him. And if he is a country boy, right, country man, I hear they like traditional roles. So you robbed him of the opportunity to give you the ring. He didn't even say he wanted to marry you. Y'all were just talking about it. Maybe you used his card to buy a very pricey thing without his permission. And now you're trying to spin it so that you're the victim? Yeah, exactly. Fiona, that's exactly what it was. She thought you was doing something. You thought you had what? That's exactly what it was. And that country boy literally let her know I'm not the one, two, or three. Now, here's the weird part, right? Here's the weird part, right? Vanya said, I think it was a test to see what she could do with that CC. I think so too. Because again, why you buy the bracelet? Porsha is not doing herself idiot. She said she might have been on pharma medication in her childhood. They have side effects, hence her school problems, why she would not want them to hence the transition. Okay, listen, I'm not doubting that all the pain, the way she keeps trying to turn it into her being his girlfriend, right? Even the way she calls him Robert, right? So she said, let's see. Oh, here we go. Robert's house had a cabin filled to it. Although the walls were an eggshell color, they were trimmed in cherry wood. We walked down the long hallway where two studies sat across from each other. You can sit down right here, Lenny instructed casually. It was my first time walking into a studio, but I was acting as if I'd done this 1,000 times. When we finally got a moment to ourselves, I had to ask Lenny, what was up? You didn't tell me we were going to his house studio? Not that it wasn't, this is Porsha, not that it wasn't a state-of-art recording studio, but still, this is a really big detail to leave out. Oh, yeah, I meant to tell you that, he hammered, right? I need to tell you that. Now, hold on. Let me welcome my new members. Hold on, y'all. Let me welcome my new members. Who signed up as a membership? Y'all got me out here hustling and working on a Thursday. Working. Rochelle Gant. Welcome. Max Mahogany. Welcome to the Tattle Tells fans. Tattle Tells, embrace them. Let them know what your favorite behind the scenes is. Also, we got anybody else? Anybody else? I'm looking at those likes, all y'all in here for free. I see you still haven't given me that like. I see that, right? I see it. It's cool. Y'all got me out here hustling and working. Like it's a month. You got me working out here for a weekend and you still don't want to give me that like. There's 894 people in y'all. Give me a damn like. Jesus Christ. Okay, so here we go, right? Here we go. She said, where are we? Oh, he said, yeah, I meant to tell you, he stammered. He's got a studio here at his house. So this is where we'll be recording. You're going to be me and Robert in a minute. He's just in the studio across the hall working on something else. Are you nervous? No, I lied. I'm ready. I was nervous, but like so many different opportunities in my life, I had to believe it could happen. It would happen. If this opportunity was meant to happen, then I'd be ready for it and I'd work out for my good. I never asked, why me? I always ask, why not me? Listen. Then Lenny said, all right, cool. I'm just going to have him play a couple of things and see what you do to vibe to. Lenny left the studio, right? Now, she said she sat in the darkened That's Princess Meatball. Lenny said, Porsha said, I just got a puppy, Princess Meatball, and I sat in a darkened studio alone thinking, oh my God, she's playing. Don't worry, she's not being tortured, she's playing. Stop acting like I got you at R. Kelly's house, Princess Meatball. Quiet down, I'm on the live. She's playing with people, but Princess Meatball acting like I got her held up in one of these rooms that Porsha was at in R. Kelly's house. Princess Meatball, I'm working. Stop it. So here's the thing, right? Listen. Hey, thank you, Max Mahogany. I appreciate that. Princess Meatball, stop it. You ain't in R. Kelly's house. Stop it. So listen. So anyway, so where we at, right? She said that she sat in a darkened studio alone thinking, oh my God, I'm in R. Kelly's house. At that time, he was a huge star who had just been convicted of what? Yeah, right? It was only a few years after that he released Happy People, Ignition, and You Saved Me. He hadn't been convicted, but he had been, that the scandal had come out, right? So you knew, right? Ignition, You Saved Me, and every Black person's cookout anthem back in the day, Step in the Name of Love. And here I was being personally invited to go meet him. I felt special. I felt like this was my big break. If I could just pull this off, I'd be one step away from making it. Okay, so she was willing to do whatever. And again, I don't care what y'all say. She was young. And when you're young, you're not the smartest person, right? Your age matured. I would like to point out, though, Porsha keeps trying to separate herself from uncomfortable narratives. I know he made Trapped in the Closet. I know he made Happy People. I know he made Ignition. I know he made You Saved Me. And I know he made Step in the Name of Love. I also know that he was assaulted at that time with rumors, gossip, innuendo, but not even that, hard evidence and videotape circulating about what he was doing to people in Chicago. So Porsha's trying to put out that because she was basically starstruck. But that's like me being starstruck with the devil, being like, he runs half of this earth. He got this, he got everybody's soul. And they're like, yeah, and he's also the devil. Did you know, God kicked him out of heaven? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like me trying to justify why I'm rocking hard with the devil. And everybody's just like, I don't know about that, right? She said, after a while, I realized I'd been waiting for so long that I began to think, who knows that I'm here? I really hadn't told anybody I left in Atlanta and flown to Chicago. My gut was telling me to check in. So I pulled out my phone so I could text my girl and let her know I was there just in case. A light knock on the door broke. Sorry, let's do this. A light knock on the door. A light knock on the door broke my train of thought. A guy that I'd never seen before poked his head into a dimly lit studio. You can come in here, he said dryly, opening the door for me and leading me into a much smaller yet brighter studio across the hall. Robert, wearing dark sunglasses and a hat turned backward, sat in the corner of the studio, along with the guy who had just let me into the studio and met him. An engineer sat at the board of the control room. Hi, I'm Porsha, I said brightly, walking to shake his hand. Oh yeah, nice to meet you. I heard a lot about you. He said a little too fast. You came with Lenny, right? Yeah, I've known him for years. He told me about you. You sing. He said you got a nice voice. Well, I'm working on some music right now. Matter of fact, sit down right there. I want you to hear something. Robert pointed out a chair right beside him, and that other guy was sitting in it, and he didn't budge. Instead, dude looked at Robert from the side, burning whatever slick thought was in his mind. Hey, watch out, man. Let us sit down right here, Robert said with a little more bass in his voice. The guy stood up slowly, right? Her thoughts. Wow, I'm really sitting in the presence of magic and true talent, because he started literally putting some beats on. He nodded to the engineer. A song started playing through the studio speakers. It sounded magical, almost like pitch-perfect notes were bouncing off the walls. When Robert started singing to the track, it made the song come alive right before my eyes. Ooh, what was he singing? Ooh, you need to run. I hold woman hostage. You need to run. Don't ask. Run now. What song was he singing that you're literally trying to act like this man really is the Pied Piper? That when you literally heard the DAP 800 and some boom beats and somebody freestyling and him being like, "Ooh," that you literally forgot that you were in this man's house. By this time, all the stuff with this man had come out. And again, I'm not blaming her because it's fine. We all have been starstruck for sure. Well, y'all can speak for yourself. I've never been starstruck. You know, those I know those people's backstories. Ain't nothing to be starstruck about. But at 2024, okay, I can see how a huge recording artist would make you be like, oh, it doesn't matter. But let's get into this, right? Magic and true talent. Girl, shut up. He made Step in the Name of Love. That is the summer cookout. Please stop acting like when the earth is blown up and our cosmic and our brain trust is floating through the cosmos, they're gonna find Step in the Name of Love and it's gonna establish a new way of thinking on another planet. Like, girl, shut up. God, like present magic and true talent. But again, she wants us to know why she was really there, right? So R. Kelly, this is a song I just wrote off the top of my head. I'm not one of those people who read and write stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. We just produced it a couple of minutes ago. His engineer turned around and added, wow, that's a really great song. Yo, it makes me wonder, how does Simon get Porsha back whenever she catches him practicing his culture? Does she send her mixtapes? You know he's old enough to still send mixtapes, right? SoundClouds. Anyway, she said, within 15 minutes, Robert started treating me as if he had known me for years. This is important. Pay attention. I was actually kind of disarming to have him suddenly act like we were friends and I was his homie who stopped by, right? Oh, wait, you guys, I have some new members. I got to say hi to you guys. Hold on. Who's a new member? Or did I already say hi? Hey, what's up, hey girl? 2712. Ooh, Lillian Gonzalez, thank you for the super chat. You said, I just started watching you and I love you. Your energy is everything. Your Simon voice has me over cracking up. Hey, Lillian, thank you so much, mama. Beep, beep, toot, toot. Welcome to the fam, mama. Queen B, welcome, welcome, welcome to the fan, you guys, for the fam. Okay, so also let me put the super chat on the screen to remind all you guys other, if anyone wants to use Lillian's generosity as an example. I invite her to. Okay, so hold on. We're about to get into this because y'all, thank you so much for the super chat, Lillian. Y'all, this is important. Pay attention, right? Robert started treating me as if he had known me for years. It was actually kind of disarming to have him suddenly act like we were friends and I was his homie who stopped by to kick it in the studio while he was creating. Although it didn't feel forced on his end, I was pushing to catch up to the moment. I was here to prove I was ready to take my dreams to the next level. But he never asked me to sing for him. After he played this track, he didn't even talk about music again. I wanted to press him to fight for my opportunity, but I was scared too. What if I did speak up for myself and I'd just be humiliated? Or worse, what if I was kicked out of his house with no place to go and no way to get home in Atlanta? Now, here's the thing. First off, if you got kicked out of that house, it probably would have been the best thing that ever happened to you in your life. So listen, the Lord works in mysterious ways. But second of all, you guys don't realize this because I skipped over a lot. But Porsha was always having a narrative about how she was a boss bee, how she had her own money, made her own things, made everything. Now, again, I do attribute this to age where she felt comfortable to go visit a man she did not know, and she didn't have enough to get home. Listen, you can look on Twitter and see a lot of people have done that. So I'm not criticizing her for that. But if you have money and you have connections and you have a family, why couldn't they get you home? Again, a lot of us come from humble backgrounds. Some of us come from backgrounds where it was very, very abundant. But regardless, I would think, unless your family is in poverty, and to Portia's thing, Miss Diane had her own thing. She was not in poverty. You need to realize, even if your family's in poverty, if you're saying you are in an unsafe place, I would like to think most families, if you're tight with them, will pull money together and get yourself an airplane ticket. I would think, right? I tried to rationalize the moment. Even if I didn't do a song with him, at least I was present for this song. Even if we never got around to working on music for me, at least I was here for this. What a privilege. I feel like Portia's writing this book, but she also knows her new man is reading this book. And it makes me think that Simon is very, very critical of her and very judgmental of her past, that it seems like Porsha keeps trying to separate herself, that she is, again, you're saying, I'm going to get through this book and I'm going to give through this chapter. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. But to me, from what she says, it sounds like she was dating R. Kelly, not a victim of. She was dating R. Kelly. And she was very quick to say she was dating and point out how she was not victimized at all. But let's get into this, right? So this is something good though, because honestly, listen, Porsha's gorgeous, beautiful body, super charming girl. She has a lot of light. Her mom didn't lie, and Porsha knows this. Porsha is a star. She has a lot of light. She would probably do better with scripted, where she hid her real personality, because in reality TV, your real and fake lives overlap. But it does make me feel good that she was not victimized by this man. Again, nobody's wishing that on anyone, so that's good. But let's get through the interesting parts of it, right? The way she explains it, right? And let me know, maybe it is, right? She said, I try to... As I was in the studio kicking it and chilling, it dawned on me that I hadn't seen Lenny in hours, and I had no idea where I was staying. I had 2 rollaway pieces of luggage that I had left at the security checkpoint and had no clue who to ask about which hotel I was staying at. I was nervous to ask because I didn't want to seem like I was uncomfortable. I wasn't. We were all watching. She said she was nervous to ask because she didn't want to make it seem like she was uncomfortable, because she wasn't. We were all watching a small television mounted in the studio while making small talk. Robert even complained about the interview he had just done with the reporter had irritated him over some personal questions, and we all laughed about it. The reporter and the interview she is talking about is when that tape came out and all those accusations flooded around Chicago. And a reporter literally flat out asked him, what are you doing? What's going on? This and that. And she's saying that the reporter had irritated him over some personal questions, and we all laughed about that. He wasn't hitting on me, not yet at least. He was relaxed, cool, chill. He treated me like a friend. After a couple of hours, Robert stood up and said, I'll be back. And he left. His friend, the one who had let me to the studio hours ago, followed him. I was left in the studio with the engineer, whose back was toward me. I sat there for about 45 minutes, keeping my eyes glued to the television, confused. Eventually, another random guy who I'd never seen came into the studio and said, Oh, Porsha, you can come with me. I can show you where you can put your stuff. Okay, cool, I said, standing up, relieved I didn't have to sit in that studio anymore. As I looked around at the cabin-like mansion, wide-eyed, trying to take everything in, I walked through the hall and up a flight of stairs. I was rationalizing to myself, he must be putting me up for the night in the guest room. Maybe I'm going to be staying here and will work in the studio tomorrow. I was desperately trying to figure out what in the world was going on while trying not to rock the boat. It was a skill I had learned early in my life, wanting to be liked, wanting people to like me, wanting to please, wanting to get along to go along. It rarely served me, but in my mind, it was better than living in conflict. You can just stay here in the house or whatever, the guy said. Robert will see you later. With the house this size, I figured he probably had 2 or 3 guest bedrooms, so I didn't mind staying here before my flight the next day. But when this guy opened the double doors, I got a sense that he just walked me into the master bedroom, Robert's bedroom. As I tiptoed into his huge bedroom, my thoughts rushed into my brain, bumping into one another. They were trying to make sense of everything I had said to Lenny, to Robert, to everyone. Could anyone have gotten the impression that I'd come here for anything other than music? No. I was naive, sure, but professional nonetheless. I didn't know how I ended up here, how I was going to get out. I looked around what was obviously his bedroom, with a poster bed that sat in the middle of the room. Around it sat an entire living room set complete with a couch. The room was so huge, it also fit a table and chairs. What was I supposed to do in here? I wasn't sure what I'd do to pass the time, but as the minutes turned into hours, and after what was on television could no longer distract me from this surreal experience, I looked out the bay window. I couldn't tell what time of day it was, but my body let me know it was sometime in between the thick of night and the dawn of morning. Girl, you just told us you had your phone with you. I'm not sure what time it was. Check your flip phone. Were iPhones out back then? Check your flip phone. Hold on. So she said, I peeked my head out the bedroom and looked down the hall. I noticed a photo of his ex-wife. hung in the hallway, and thought to myself, is he still married? We all know she ain't give a damn. She was like, we don't give a damn. We don't get a what? Okay, so hold on, right? Then all of a sudden, I'm so sorry, baby. Robert said, walking in the door and looking to me as if we were in a relationship, a stark difference from how he treated me early in the studio. I wanted us, right? Hold on. I wanted us to work later, but I got caught up. I heard his voice. I reluctantly opened my eyes, realizing I had drifted off to sleep. She is writing this like this is romance fiction, Harlequin books, right? I looked around the room trying to process exactly where I was. I still couldn't believe I was actually in R. Kelly's bedroom. How? How had I let it get this far? I had no idea what was in store, but I played along. Girl, you knew exactly what was in store. You were falling asleep in someone's bed. And at this point, let's also remember she was free to leave at any time. Oh, that's okay. It's all right, I said. Robert immediately started kissing me. I'm really into you. I think you're beautiful. He said, I'm just looking for somebody I can spend time with. I need a girlfriend, a girl who's mature and patient and keeps a low profile. I need her. Can you be that girl? Her response, it's important. I'm super low key, I replied. I felt myself getting caught up in the fantasy as if I was dreaming. But what about your wife? Now, one of the reasons that Porsha, I think, might be releasing this also is don't forget that she was actually interviewed by the FBI for an ongoing case. That case has not been tried yet. The FBI did come interview her. There is a chance that her testimony, if she gave an affidavit, that her testimony will be submitted as evidence. So there's not much wiggle room on how much she can lie or change things around. And I think that these words she's saying, even though she's trying to spin it with all these words of I was confused, love thought, I think that she's trying to let us know the words she said to him in case it comes up in court or trial. Now, she is not going, but you know how it is with discovery, with witnesses, with all this stuff. If you don't know, look up the federal rules of procedure under discovery. You can do it. All right. So let's get back into this. She said, I'm super low key, but what about your wife? You didn't even say what about your wife. You thought he was married and he started kissing you. Okay, and listen, I'm not playing morality politics. Portia's young. He's a big star. Clearly, the fame seduced her. Clearly, right? It happens to a lot of people. It happened with the president of the United States, with Monica Lewinsky. I'm not judging anything of that. I'm just saying that it's odd the way she is navigating between romance, between implied something. I don't know. It just confuses me, right? So he said, I'm single. He emphasized, and I'm lonely all the time. How did she stay with it? I would have been like, boy, let me out this room. Security, right? Robert has spent so much time by himself because he worked so much on his craft and he was working. It was not only hard for him to meet people, but also hard to be around people. He acted like his gift was just so heavy on him that whenever it called him to be in the studio, that's what he had to do. That need, that pull, it kept him from a lot of relationships in his life. Robert said he just needed somebody who would be understanding of what he could give in a relationship and what he could not. Hearing Robert pour his heart out, it made me want that for him. It's a way he opened up, needing me, wanting me, that made me want to be there for him. I wanted to be that girl that he was looking for to live that fairy tale. Yeah, y'all. Yeah. You just heard what you thought you heard. The fact that you're trying to humanize Robert Kelly in your book, because as she pointed out, she was a girlfriend. But my rational mind, oh, I'm glad to see it exists, kept pulling on me too. It begged me to question what was going on. And it had continued to pull me back and forth between the next few months. So this went on for a few months. So y'all not together? I pressed. How is him being married your main concern? How? She's literally acting like she lives in a bubble and she didn't hear of all that mess that was going on with R. Kelly around that time. It's shocking. No, we're not together. Okay, because I saw her picture in the hallway. Dummy. Again, I don't want to call somebody a dummy because she was young. She didn't know. She didn't know. I'm sorry. She didn't know. I take that back. We've all been in situations, not this, but we've all, I hope not this situation, been in situations where our age and our naivety let people take advantage of us. And I honestly do fear well, we'll get into beauty and how that attracts predators and all this stuff. But I feel like being taken advantage of at a young age by men is unfortunately, and being victimized and hurt by these men, I think, unfortunately, is a situation that I think 95% of women can understand. And if you are in that 5% that you don't understand, God bless you. God bless you. You have led a highly charmed and favored life. God bless you. But for the other 95% that have been preyed on or victimized or just taken advantage of or made a fool of and humiliated, yeah, I'm talking to y'all, right? He said, "We're not together. I haven't been together for a long time. It's just me and my kids. I just like your spirit. Something about you," he said, promptly changing the subject. "I want you to take off your clothes." Now, listen, listen. We need to realize, hold on, y'all. We're gonna match facts up because y'all need to hear the end of this. Do I have any new members? Hold on. Any new members? My Christmas? Babs next door. Woo! Welcome to the membership. And also Star Mama, thank you so much for the book. Oh my God. And B, thank you so much for the super chat. And Star Jones, welcome, Mama. Listen, let me put B's up there because B made a comment. We're about to get into this. This is getting good, y'all. This is getting good. Thank you for rocking with me, right? Y'all know I love to read a bedtime story. B said, "Your book covers exceedingly expectations with your overachievement." Oh, thank you, B. I appreciate that, Mama. And also, Babs, thank you so much for sending me Restream. Thank you so much for sending me the super chat. Shout out to Babs and shout out to B. Woohoo! Thank y'all so much. Let's go. Hold on, let's see. Oh, and Kara Brown, thank you so much for the super chat. Woo! Thank you. So right now we have Rochelle Gant, Max Mahogany. B, thank you so much, darling. I appreciate you. I can't wait for us to get drinks, right? Michelle Gant, Max Mahogany, Queen B, Beat Toot Toot, Lillian Gonzalez, thank you for the super chat. And thank you, Hey Girl 2712, Star Jones again, and Babs Next Door. Woo! And Kiara Brown. Welcome, mamas. Welcome. Okay, so I just noticed the text. Thank you so much, B. We gotta get some drinks. So, okay, where were we, right? My rational mind woke back up at that line. I could have laughed in his face, grabbed my luggage, and walked right out of there. I'd like to think I would have if I wasn't in the middle of nowhere with nowhere to go. But no, nobody was holding you hostage. They kept saying, you can leave, right? She said, or I could do what I'd done in so many situations and put what I felt, nervousness mixed in panic, to the side in order to survive what was about to happen. Plus, I'm already here, I told myself. I'm in his bedroom. I've already been in his house 4 hours. It's 3 or 4 in the morning. I've already put myself in this position. This is what you're supposed to do. You have to. There's no turning back. What are you going to do? Say no, and then what? Then you're stranded with nowhere to grow. Now, this I can actually see, honestly, being a very, very, very real worry about Porsha. Now, we can argue whether this and that. I think when you're in your mid-20s, you are just stupid. You're dumb. And not to say that you like there's something wrong with you, but you're prone to these predators. I do believe that Porsha was like, there's no turning back. What am I supposed to do? You did this now. The thing that confuses me is where she went with this, right? So, she said she stood there in front of him and he said, how old are you? And she said, 20. I replied before he cut me off from finishing saying my age, which was 25. Stop. He said, let's just say you're very young. Girl, that would have flipped. Like, I literally would have been like, ah! Like you would have saw me like Biddy Hill trying to run out of there. Listen, so then they get into it, right? She's in the bathroom. She walks back out. He has his shirt back on. He looks at her and said, you good? You good? Robert said, looking over at me, I gotta go. I'm supposed to be meeting this producer. At this point, she said, it was around 5 or 6 in the morning, but I just let him tell me any excuse to leave, and he left. What I didn't realize when he walked through that double doors was that he'd leave me in his bedroom for the entire next day. The door wasn't locked. Yet I didn't feel welcome to roam around his house alone. He never told me I couldn't leave, but he also never encouraged me to make myself at home. He never told me not to open the door, but he also never invited me downstairs to get something to eat. By simply leaving me there, he disarmed me. I was frozen. Now, I see the analogy she's making to what happened with her dad when her dad just kept her locked in the room. So maybe it was triggering something, and that's why she didn't leave or she wasn't more vocal. She said, I eventually got up the courage to call downstairs because I was starving. I needed something to eat. Thoughts of working on music sat in my mind, and that's where they lie dormant. But didn't he just tell her that he doesn't even want to do music? He just wants a girlfriend. By the time Robert walked back into his bedroom with me still lying on the bed watching television so many hours later, I was just happy to see someone. I was actually happy to see him. I can't believe you left me like that, I told him. You did it, and you did it a second time. I don't like to be left alone. I want to go home. No, no, baby, don't be like that, he said, looking genuinely hurt by the mention of leaving. Let me let me give you some money. You can go to the mall. Get out the house. I had a business and my own money. If you had a business and your own money, this is what I don't understand. I think maybe Portia's lying about having her own money because, again, I understand her being naive and being there. But if you had a business and your own money, why are you acting like flying out is a financial burden? I think she stayed for other reasons, of course. But the way she keeps bringing the financial burden, but this loops me into the pursuit of Porsha, where they were talking about some give me that money, give me that money. And I said to you guys, if you haven't watched my recap, I did a recap of Up and Adam, Grace and Layla. Go ahead and follow them. They are my new faves. You know, Grace and Layla were always my faves. But you know what? Me and Up and Adam clicked. I think we're going to do something in the future. Cut to Up and Adam being like, who said that? But all jokes aside, right? If Adam's willing, right, we'll do something in the future. But I will also say that actually, so I did a group one where we like talk about, discuss, chop it up. It's real funny. We're going to do it every Monday at 12:30 p.m. Next week, it's going to be on Adam's channel. But also, and then we're ending on my channel. Don't worry. Subscribe, like, comment. It's YouTube. You know how it goes. But also, to my point, I did an in-depth recap. It's very funny and it's very detailed. If you like to laugh and you want an in-depth recap, go see it. But I made this interesting point that Porsha, she doesn't care that everybody thinks, in my opinion, that everybody thinks she stole Fallon's husband or that she's the man stiller. The one thing in that show that comes across is it's very, very, very important that Porsha let people know she has money. And it's very, very important that everybody in Atlanta knows that she's dating somebody with money, if that makes any sense. So it's weird to me. And again, when I see conflict, I look at what people say and I look at the lies that they tell, but I think a lot of people disregard the fact that through the lies people tell, you can actually get a super clear picture of who they are. Because it's not just who you are, it's the lies that you choose to tell to disguise who you are, show more about your personality than I don't think most people give it credit for. But back to my point, right? We're about to get into this. Listen, here's the thing. And let's keep it respectful because we're not here to judge whether somebody was victimized. By the end of this chapter, you'll see why I don't think. And Portia's not even accused. Well, let's get to this, right? She said, I had a business and my own money. It was odd that you chose to say that I had my own money to make it seem like, because you don't want people to think that you're out for money, right? I have friends, a loving family, a mother taught me that it's better than this back home who will worry about my whereabouts. I thought about my mom a lot when I was at Robert's house, and the idea of disappointing her and letting her down kept pulling me back to my senses and calling me home. I flew back to Atlanta that evening, but that's when her trip was always scheduled to go back, right? I never said goodbye to Robert during my first trip to his house, but I'd end up back there 2 or so more times. I was lured because I was young and insecure. I was lured because of his kind words and loving actions. I was lured because the combination of these two things manipulated me to my core. Every time I went in, it got worse and worse and worse. Where are the loving actions that if it got worse and worse and worse, where are the loving actions? You might be asking yourself. We're about to get into that. Robert invited me to fly back to Chicago through an email I knew he didn't write. When one of his drivers pulled up into his Olympia Fields estate for the second time, securely led me straight to a small guest room. I walked into the yellowish painted room, which was nestled beside the billiard room where the pool table sat. And again, Robert was nowhere to be found. Instead, I was left to stay in the room until he visited me. And again, the door wasn't locked. No one told me I couldn't leave, but I still felt like I wasn't allowed to walk around the house. I felt like I was in lockdown. I wish I could say this was a new feeling, being trapped in the room, but it wasn't. The walls eventually started to close in on me after a day, and I sneaked out the room to get some fresh air. On my way back from the pool area, I passed a security guard who invited me to swim if I wanted to. I bumped into a really pretty light-skinned girl in the hallway. Again, this is where I think the testimony she gave the feds, she's weaving this into reality, because that's an odd it's an odd detail to give. But it makes me think that this isn't the first time she gave it, right? This is just me thinking about it from like criminal defense, right? I bumped into a really pretty light-skinned girl in the hallway. She wasn't wearing any makeup and her hair was slicked back in a ponytail. She made eye contact with me. "Hey," she whispered. Matching her tone, I replied back whispering, "Hey, I'm Porsha. I'm over here in this room." "I'm down the hall. How many girls are here? I don't even know." Suddenly, one of the big security guards made his way into the hallway. "Oh yeah, you can go into that room right there," he said, motioning to her. Immediately, without another word and without making any eye contact with me, she disappears. You shouldn't talk to her," he warned me. And Robert eventually came to visit me in my room a day later with apologies dripping from his lips. "I'm sorry, I was working. You know how it be. Listen, come out with me. Come out the room. Let's go get something to eat. My family's having a cookout." He led me downstairs to the family room where his entire family was relaxing, running back and forth from the kitchen, eating and chilling. Robert's aunt, who I'd never met, but who somehow knew my name, was there too. "Hey, Porsha," she said as if she knew me. "Go ahead and fix yourself a plate." By this time, it was my second day in the room with nothing to eat. I was so hungry, so I ran into the kitchen and piled food onto my plate. But when I got the potato salad, I paused. It is the most yellow potato salad I'd ever seen. Wow, is this how they make their potato salad in Chicago with all this mustard? I thought. I was hungry, but I wasn't that hungry. You can't eat everybody's potato salad anyway. It was so yellow because in Chicago they use egg yolk for potato salad, but whatever, let's move on. Before I sat back down with the rest of the family, I heard a voice say, "Oh, you're such a pretty girl. Robert did good with you. Robert. I mean, man, you did good with her." It was his sister. "Oh, yeah, I love her," he replied to her. Eventually, he turned his head to me and said, "Porsha, I love you, man. You know I'm going to have a baby by you, right? Did y'all know that?" His family either ignored us or looked at us in admiration. Robert laid his head in my lap, and I immediately forgot about all the anger I felt after being locked up in the room all day. Being around Robert, being wrapped up in his fantasies, made you want to believe his fantasies too, even if you knew better. Now, this moment overlooked any logic I understood about what was happening inside that house. I wanted to believe that I wasn't a girl he was locking in his room to use whenever he wanted or remembered. This was public confirmation in front of his whole family that he loved me, or at least I thought he did. I chose the fantasy of security and love and family over what was actually happening to me, because the thing is, I always wanted was to be loved, and that's what he was giving me. Even in my own business, supportive family and friends, I only saw myself through his eyes, and I didn't see much. Y'all. She said, "I've been saying we're almost done. We are almost done. We actually are almost done because this is getting deep, right? Hold on. I didn't stay long during the second trip, but Robert would call often. When he did call, I felt like we were in some kind of relationship, even if our interactions and conversations were sporadic and a bit random. I settled back in Atlanta, where I received a phone call from Robert inviting me back to Chicago. He came with more and more apologies, his signature refrain telling me, "I'm so sorry I left you in a room like that. I'll never do that again. I love you. We're supposed to be starting a family." Although my gut was telling me to leave this man alone, I unfortunately ignored it one last time. I touched down in Chicago and once again slipped into the backseat of a private car, and once again I was greeted by security at the side door. This time, I was led to a completely different room in a different part of the estate. I found myself in a fully mirrored room. Aside from the hardwood floors, the room was entirely covered in reflective mirrors. It had mirrors on every wall and mirrors on the ceiling. The only part of the wall that wasn't reflective was where the television was mounted. And I thought to myself, this is going to be rough. As I was left in that room staring at different versions of myself for 3 days straight. Or it might have been 3 days straight. When you're left alone in a room like that for that long, you lose track of time. Girl, you had a cell phone and a phone, right? A regular phone. Thankfully, I brought my laptop with me, and she had a laptop. If I was going to be on the lockdown, I needed something to distract me. I also made sure to tell a girlfriend I was at his house, just in case. I never understood how I let him lure me back into this house this time and time again, only to be locked away. I'll never understand why I was afraid to leave. And each time I wanted to be like, you know what? I'm getting out of here. Robert or a security guard will pop up, luring me back and convincing me to stay. After 24 hours of staring at myself in those mirrors, I called downstairs to security guests and to say I wanted to leave. I was done. Well, Porsha, Robert says he wants you to stay ready in an hour. He wants you to go to a party with them. He does? Yes, he does. Can you be ready in an hour? Wear minimal makeup. If I could turn back the clock, I wish I had the strength. I had to say no, but instead I got dressed and I followed a security guard down a large room inside his estate that held a pool table in the middle of the floor. When I walked inside that room, there were about 20 or 30 girls in there, all different types. A speaker that I couldn't see played one of his songs. Robert's songs were the only ones we'd hear all night. What kind of party is this? Where did these girls even come from? I wondered. I walked up to a few girls to make conversation, to have something to do to pass time. I mean, I hadn't seen or spoken to anyone since I arrived. I also wanted to figure out if these girls were staying in this house too, or if I was the only one. We're not over. I've been here. One girl said, I've been here a month. One said, I've been here a week. I've been here a week. Another whispered, I'm staying in the studio. Yet another girl shared, I'm actually still in school. You walked up to these girls because you wanted to see what was going on. And one said, I'm staying in the studio. I'm actually still in school. About an hour into the party, Robert strolled in like he was the star of the night. All the girls started clapping and yelling and saying stuff like, ooh, R. Kelly, there he is, ooh. Hey, ladies, thank you for being here tonight, Robert said after walking to the center of the room near the pool table. I just wanted us all to have a way to get together and have a good time. With that, he started to mingle with each girl. While some of the girls in baggy clothes didn't speak to anyone, others were trying desperately to get into the party spirit. Everyone, though, was vying to get a little attention for Robert. Eventually, this is important, he came over to say hello to me. Hey, Porsha, baby. He said, giving me a kiss on the lips. I didn't see him kiss anybody else on the lips, so perhaps I was his girlfriend after all. His girlfriend in a pretty messed up relationship. Y'all, we're about to wrap up. Hold on, because I want to look at the comments and actually take some callers so you guys can actually call in, right? The party ended after Robert left the room with two cute girls who had kept to themselves for most of the night. Of course I was upset about it, but what did I expect after being in a room full of girls throwing themselves at him? I dragged myself back to the spooky mirrored room, feeling worthless. I was beyond upset. I was sad. I was depressed, and the worst part about it was I wasn't even that upset with him. I felt more disappointed in myself that I had found myself in this place, at this party, with these girls. When I wasn't distracted by him, I was being tortured by questions that clouded my mind. What is my life? Why am I okay with this? Why am I okay with them treating me like this? How did I get into this situation? What would have led me to this place if I'm afraid of being here? Why do I continue to stay here? What is keeping me here? It was as if I suddenly snapped awake and I had to get out of there. I picked up the phone in the room, dialed 0, and I was patched in to the security desk. I gotta go. But he's coming soon. They said trying to dissuade me. He's coming. Is he gonna come soon? I pressed. He's coming. But he never did. Hours and hours and more hours rolled by with every second and every minute, and the nerve that I had just mustered up because even more lackluster. I was back in this hole again with nowhere to go and no one to tell me this was not okay. My boredom lured me into a nap, but it didn't last long. I was woken by a guttural scream, a sound of true terror. From inside the house of my mirrored hell, the sounds were muffled, but they were distinct enough that I could tell a girl was crying out. A man was screaming too. It sounded like Robert, but I couldn't be sure. I heard a man's voice say out loud and clear, "What the bleep? You got me bleeped up." I soon heard footsteps shuffling around as if they were running foul. This is a trigger warning for everyone, by the way. I'm sorry if I forgot to say it. This is a trigger warning. I soon heard loud footsteps shuffling around as if they were running around by a loud thump. Something or someone had fallen. Then it sounded like a woman was getting beaten, and every time a fist landed, she let out a pathetic yet energetic cry. It was terrifying. And you guys, I'm not like, something or someone had fallen. Then it sounded like a woman who was getting beaten, and every time a fist landed, she let out a pathetic yet energetic cry. It was terrifying. I picked up the phone immediately and dialed security. My nerve had returned. I didn't dare let them talk me out of leaving this time. Listen to what Porsha says, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. But you guys, if everybody's listening, just listen to these next words. Let me just give a second so everybody listen, and I want to know your thoughts. Members only in the chat. If you don't change my flight right now and get me out of here, I'm calling the police now. Porsha said, if you don't change my flight right now and get me out of here, I'm calling the police now. I slammed the receiver down and called the one girlfriend who knew I was there. I wonder who that girlfriend was. Still fearful about what was happening in that house, I whispered into the phone to tell her what was going on. Don't worry, Porsha. We're getting you out of there. I can check on flights too. Thank God she did, pointing out a few flights that would get me back to Atlanta by nightfall. But by the time I had gotten off the phone with her, security was already calling me back, telling me, your car's downstairs. You can go to the airport. So she said, let me out now, or I'm calling the police. And they got a car and they let her go to the airport. I want to know, we're going to talk about this in a second. We're almost done with this. I swear to God, I only got one more page. But I want to finish this because I want to hear your thoughts. And we're going to do the other chapters next week, right? If you guys are into the book club. Over the next 2 weeks, Robert called me a few times. Most times I let the calls go to voicemail until I couldn't take it anymore. Please don't call me anymore. I'm done with you. Fast forward to years later, I sat down with investigators to tell them my story. Never in a million years thought there would be an opportunity for me to tell my truth to officials. I had kept this experience so very close to the chest to protect myself. Even my own mother didn't know the depths of what had happened in R. Kelly's house. I had just worked up the nerve to tell her about some of it only a few years ago. I spoke up. I felt like I had to, especially when I heard about R. Kelly's victims. You spoke up to the feds. They knew you were there. They had been contacted. Other people had placed you at that thing. You spoke to the feds, and if you hadn't, they would have subpoenaed you, so you had to sit down to them. So you spoke up. She's not lying. She did feel like she had to. I was touched by their heartbreaking stories, and if I could do anything to help them or their families, I wanted to. If I could help someone who was still trying to come forward by sitting down with them, I wanted to be able to do that. Together, our team helped with the investigation, which I was more than happy to do. You had no choice. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I thought, wow, I've never said any of that out loud. The past had just walked back into my life, bringing all those moments right back into my mind and those emotions right back to my heart. It took me right back to being in that mirrored room and wondering what was going on with me that I allowed myself to be in that situation. At 40, I wish I could turn back to the clock and talk back to my younger self and see the value of who I was. I share this story now for every person reading this book so that you can find your power and purpose to walk away. Y'all, that was the end of chapter 4. Let's see if anybody joined, and then we're going to get into the members only chat. Let's see. Any new members? This is like Christmas. Oh, any new members? Let's hear those sleigh bells ringling, ding, ding, ding-a-ling. This is like Christmas when I have no presents. No presents? No? Yeah, I ain't ish. Okay, so no presents for me under the membership tree. All right, fine. Let's get into this. Y'all, and listen, I'm dropping the call-in link for my members only. I'm dropping the call-in link for the members only to actually call in. Y'all, what did you think of that? I'm actually going to change the title of this live because the live is Porsha um uh Porsha is basically saying that she was R. Kelly's girlfriend. She's saying, thank God, right? Not that we were hoping for the worst. She's saying that to her knowledge and the way she felt, she went back multiple times. She did not feel like she was abused. She felt that she had let somebody disrespect her, like by leaving her in a room like a dog. But she never says he crossed any of her boundaries. He never. So thank goodness for that. And she even goes on multiple times to say that she is his girlfriend and to be proud and that they were working on a baby. They were working on a baby. This is what she's saying. So I say unto you, let's get into the hold on. Hold on. Let's go. She said that they were planning a baby. She said she knew the family loved her, respected, she felt on top of the world. I just changed the title of, I think, Porsha claimed she was planning a baby with R. Kelly. I just changed the title of this members only live. Sorry about that, y'all. So listen, let's get into this. Let's see. Did anybody join my members only? Still no presents under the membership team. You guys, what do you get for joining my membership before we get into live? You get $4.99. You get lots of exclusive behind the scenes access and gossip about your favorite Bravo reality TV shows. Real Housewives of Atlanta's coming up. Pursuit of Portia's up. I got the tea. I got the juice. Ain't my fault that I'm out here getting loose. Baby, blame it on the juice. Woo! Okay, thank you. Ain't my fault that I'm out here getting loose. Mama, blame it on the juice. Listen, what do y'all think about this? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, not myself, because I was a believer, I never questioned anybody's trauma, right? Oh, who's this? Hello, who is this?
Hi,
Alex.
yeah.
Let's see. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Alex. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Members Only Live. Hi, how are you, darling?
I'm
So,
good. Thank you so much for having me.
no problem. So, Alex, I was about to give my synopsis, but you'll be the voice of the people. What do you think of what you just read? Now, if I could just interject really quick, um, a lot of people said that Portia was using this whole story and what to a lot of young girls was a super horrible, traumatic, hostage abuse situation. Trigger alert for anybody. It was super traumatic, and we're just starting to learn even more details and there's a lot more coming out. And by attaching herself to it, a lot of people said that, maybe she was using this for clicks, using for this. I said, no, 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 no. We have to wait and see because she's going to go. But what is your opinion of what we talked about in general, but also to the point of it seems like she is literally saying they were planning a baby. The family knew her. Yeah, she had to stay in the house like a dog, right? But he treated her like his girlfriend, and she was very careful to point out she was his girlfriend. But Alex, what's your takeaway of this? What is your takeaway of this?
In all honesty, I genuinely don't believe some of what she's saying. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't gone through something traumatic in her time of knowing R. Kelly, because we're not there to know that. However, it does feel like she's kind of taken bits and pieces of other survivors' stories and she's gone, I'll put my name on it. It pretty much kind of reminds me of the whole Amber Heard situation, where she took one of her friend's stories and was like, well, I've been a R survivor as well, and I've gone through this, and then it all came out that it was a
Oh.
lie. It just kind of feels like she's taken bits and pieces and she's gone, well, they'll believe me because my fans always believe what I'm saying. So I'm just kind of like, some of it sounds genuine, but then where she kind of goes into the dramatics, you can't always believe what someone else says, unfortunately.
But
Now,
so here's the thing I wanted to ask you, Alex. In the R. Kelly chapter, I kept struggling, and help me with this, right? Because you're right,
mhm,
this is very analogous to the Amber Heard thing. I I was struggling to find what she was accusing him of, because some people can say she didn't say he did anything to her because she couldn't accuse him of something he didn't do, and she kept saying they were together.
yeah,
Again, I'm glad that she escaped. With the worst thing that happened to her was that she felt stupid for waiting around and letting him know that there were other girls around. To me, it felt like her hurt came, but there were other women around and she
yeah.
wasn't the only one. But again, please educate me, because maybe I'm missing something. I don't see how she was a victim and how we look at a victim of that man. And again, I'm not saying she hasn't been victim. I'm talking about the charges that he has been accused of. I don't see the analogy unless she's holding more back. Do you see it?
I think that she's definitely holding stuff back, even going back to the previous chapters when she was with the ball player and everything else. It
Okay.
feels like that there's bits missing. However, it feels like where she doesn't want to tell her truth, she's telling someone else's truth. And that
Mm.
isn't for her to do, because that's someone else's traumatic experience. Now, looking at it as well from a situation where she obviously has escaped, and well done to her, because not everyone does, especially not with such lenient scars as well. But what I can definitely say, from looking from the outside looking in, is that unfortunately, because she's done the whole situation with Candy and Todd as well, with this whole, well, they wanted to drug me and everything else, it's like, can we really believe her on this aspect as well? Or is it something that she's continuously using and kind of saying, well, like, we were together and I knew his family and it was all going great, but then he had all these negative signs about him as well, so we can't really, I didn't really know who I was with, even though it was in the news. I mean, because at that time I would have been like in my teens, but like, we still remember that it was in the news, it had come out, the Boondocks had even put it out as well in their little animated series. It wasn't something that
True.
was going away, it was
True.
out. So the fact that she's like, well, like, we just kind of all laughed about it, so you're laughing at someone, as a girl's girl, you're laughing at someone else's pain. That doesn't, I don't get that, I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either. Now, Kise, what's up, Kise? You say, was that the entire R. Kelly story in the book? I read, you guys, that was the entire R. Kelly story. This book is only 186 pages, y'all. Like, no, there's nothing else. That was the entire thing of her interactions with R. Kelly. Now, I want to ask you something else, Alex. I agree with you. It's not her story to tell. It seems like she's telling other people's trauma as her
Hmm.
own, not to devalue whatever trauma she experienced. She just didn't explain
Of
it to us in
course.
the book. But I understand that. But what do you say to critics that would say, okay, so if you're there and all these things are going on and you're writing this book, judging by the large typeface and the short thing, you're writing it for younger women, do you see in any of the chapters where she's actually giving guidance and advice instead of this happened to me and this happened to me? It is just like, okay.
Oh my god, no. Yeah. So I mean, I've obviously written stuff to be published from a domestic survivor point of view, and I always have, whether it's been on my Facebook, my Instagram, whatever, I have always kind of then given like a bit of advice for people that may find themselves in those traps. And it's
Okay.
always a case of, this is my story and this is how I got out of it, these are the warning signs that I saw, and I tried to educate. She's just telling her story and going, this happened to me and this is my life, and yeah, there's nothing else after that. It just kind of feels like it just kind of feels like she's taken on her celebrity title, ran with it, but she's not actually really using it for any good.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just kind of gone, well, I'm Porsha Williams and this happened to me and I'm writing a book about myself and my life is so amazing and I believe that I'm different to all these other girls. Okay. But then she's not, yeah, but then she's not really doing anything else that could actually be there to help, especially like, you know, because I mean, her target audience is for what, people her age and younger.
Yeah, I would
So
imagine.
people her age and younger, especially around my age, because I'm in my 20s.
Okay.
So we're kind of looking, I wouldn't say looking up to, because I don't believe in looking up to celebrities because they only give you one idea of their life. But she's kind of got people that will kind of go, if Porsha can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah.
But there's no actual real guidance to say how she was able to do it. It's just look at my life and look how great I am. And this is my story. And yeah, I'm better than you. All I've literally seen from what you've been reading is I'm better than you.
That is so funny you say that, Alex, because that is the one thing that kept coming through with every single chapter. And also every single chapter, a type of I don't want to say lack of accountability, because I hate when people say that. I've had people say to me, "You're not taking accountability." And you're like, "What does that mean?" Right? But when I
Mm-hmm.
say lack of accountability, it's just like, if I was to tell the story of my life, and no, I'm not, because y'all not getting into my business, right? But if I was to tell the story of my life, there are some chapters where I will be the victim, but also, if I'm honest, there's some chapters when I was like a crappy person, when I wasn't the best friend or the best mother, daughter, sister, lover. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You're always the villain in someone's story, and once you've lived any type of life, and that's what they mean about taking accountability. There are some stories that you grow from because you're the person doing bad, and there's other stories you grow
Exactly.
from
Yeah.
because bad's done to you. And in this whole book, this book took me literally 3 hours to read, and that was me stopping and talking trash on the phone, calling my BFFs, cackling, laughing, right? But this is literally like, it's a read like on the beach when you go with your friends for like a couple hours. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a quick read. It struck me through this whole book that not one time was there any situation where she inflicted hurt, she inflicted pain, or she crossed anybody else's boundaries. Now, I'm not saying she has to sit there and publicly, flagellate herself like in the public square. I'm not saying that. But what I
Yeah.
am saying is there's no depth, there's no insight. It's just like you said, these things happen and it's all very surface. Like, it's just all very surface, even for a surface book. But you're right, with young women. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
very victim mentality. It's I'm the victim and everything bad happens to me and I don't create anyone else's pain, and it kind of feels like, you know, like when, I mean, I've got two kids and my youngest is always the victim and I'm always like, no, you're not the victim in this
yeah,
house, we've literally watched you do something bad, like, no. But it's lit, she's what, 7, so it's always that, well, they did it to me first and I didn't do anything to them. And then when I kind of push and I prod and I look at the whole story, I'm like, so you did do something,
yeah,
you did actually create some, like, no, no, you're not the victim. But it
yeah.
feels like Porsha doesn't have anyone around her to say you're not the victim. She has so many enablers around her, whether it's her sister or her mom or her the select few friends that she has. It feels like it's that. So it's
No,
a case of where no one's actually really said, you might want to sit down and reflect and kind of look at where you've gone wrong. It's, oh, okay, Porsha, yeah, we understand. Yep, they completely hurt you and you're an angel. And no, but that isn't real life.
No, it's not real life at all, but it's also about somebody that's actually, you make a good point. When you've truly processed your pain and you can give a lesson, part of it is seeing things you could do better. And so, now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that there are victims in this world. I do believe that you're just like, you could have did A, or it wouldn't have mattered. You still would have gotten preyed on. But when it comes to life about dealing with people, like in the thing about the guy where she went in and bought a ring and, a bracelet. Like, I'm the first person to be like, make his pockets hurt. But when you actually care about someone, that's something we just sing along. When you care about anyone or even respect someone and
Yeah.
their boundaries, you're not going to go and calculate 3 months of their income so you can buy yourself a ring and a bracelet and come out and then be like, oh, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, hey, B, what's going on? B? Maybe she joined by accident. B? She might have joined by accident. Hey, B. Okay, I think B joined by accident. We'll take her off screen. What's up, B? But anyway, no, it's that whole thing about even in that thing, never once did she say, wow, that was actually really disrespectful. That was very rude. That was crossing his boundaries. And he felt, no, she
Yeah,
gave
it's definitely, it gives off entitlement.
Yes, but you gave a sob story where you said you walked into the mall with a diamond in your eye and a dream in your heart. And then all he said was like, you're doing too much. I talked about marriage, but why would you take it upon yourself to buy a ring? Like, you know what I'm saying? And she
Yeah.
literally immediately spin that into her being the absolute victim and him being upset. And when I read what he said, I'm like, I actually think he handled that pretty well, because I would have made you walk back in and return it. Like, take this back. Literally, I would have walked back in myself and been like, where's Hellsberg's diamonds? Where's Kay's jeweler? I'm taking it back. So yeah, and also a last thing, as the voice of the people, what struck you as, what did you believe out of the book? Because a lot of it, I agree with you. It was bits and pieces sprinkled in to make a story. But even when I was reading what happened with her and that guy, I was like, you're leaving out a lot of stories, right? You're leaving out
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously like, I've come, I mean, because obviously what she was saying as well about when he was like telling her to get into bed to go sleep, and that she was really, really scared to get into the bed.
Yes.
So looking at that as obviously someone who has gone through a traumatic experience with a previous partner,
Yes.
it sounds like he was definitely in her head, probably a lot more emotionally and a lot more mentally. So therefore she was kind of waiting on the physical aspect to come.
Yes.
But it sounds like because she then was looking at it from a place of, he's actually going to hurt me, everything
Yes.
in her heightened. So
Yes.
therefore, instead of it being a case of trying to probably look at it reasonably and go, let me then, like, and I probably go and sleep in another room or
Yes.
anything else, she then kind of tried to get onto his level and kind of go, if I calm down, then he'll calm down.
Yes.
But it's then a case of where she's still keeping herself in that situation of being, I wouldn't say a victim, but definitely keeping herself in that mentality of being a victim,
Yes.
instead of just probably just trying to make sure that she was definitely just safe. Because I mean, if his reaction to her buying the diamond or doing anything else that he thought was disrespectful, realistically as well, you weren't living together, you had your own home, go home,
Yes.
like exit from that situation, give yourself some time and then reevaluate. But to stay and then you're expecting the worst thing to happen, it kind of then shows that she didn't know him, she didn't understand him, and that she was just kind of, it feels like everything was so rushed, that because she looks for that picture perfect lifestyle so quickly, as we've seen with Dennis and Simon and Todd and the
Yes.
other guy as well from a couple of seasons ago, she doesn't actually take the time to kind of know who these people are. She goes, they're my forever after. But then because you haven't gotten to know them, you haven't gotten to understand them and their triggers as well, you're then going, okay, now they're going to hurt me, now this, now that. And then
Yes.
it's a whole, it gets very complicated very quickly. So it's like, I can believe that that aspect has happened, simply because
Yes.
even how she's kind of relayed it as well to her ghostwriter, because we know that she didn't write this, but
As one
but
writer to another, I know you were giggling like, okay.
I was literally like, Porsha, we hear how you talk, so I don't think you actually
Exactly.
put pen to paper, but that's fine.
I don't even think she proofread it. I don't even think she collaborated. I think she just like sent videotapes off, and the writer was like, all right then. So, hey,
Yeah,
B, welcome to the
absolutely.
chat.
So I mean, I can kind of like, because obviously like when you have been in that situation, you can kind of understand the thought process. Obviously I can believe that that has happened, but it feels like she's gone, well, this was the first time something ever happened. It probably wasn't. He's probably has yelled at her before, he probably has been pushed by triggers before, and she's just
True.
gone, oh, he's overreacting. But then that time, because she was so disrespectful to his standards,
Yes.
it was, oh my god, now he's this big bad monster. But that isn't actually what it is.
You know what? I agree with you. And the thing is, and B, welcome so much to the chat. Everybody, B's here. But Alex, I completely agree with you. But see, this is the thing. And I know you are a writer. You clearly have a great analytical mind. But these are the things that I would expect it being at the end of the chapter, a little bit of insight, because you're right.
Yeah.
This is a situation that a lot of very young women find themselves in, girls even find themselves in, where for whatever reason they've been socialized that they don't feel like they have a voice and they need to leave. And instead of just saying, like, how you just broke it all down, this is what's going on, this is why you feel this way, this is why you, and in these situations, this is what you can do to protect yourself, to stay safe. And also, let's look at the red flags. She turned it into like a Saturday morning. And again, I don't know if it's the writer or if it's just her level of depth, because it turned it into, like, a quick 30-second Saturday morning commercial about
Yeah.
staying safe without any type of real reflection. Also telling younger women, which again might be because she always is like, I'm not like those hoes over there. She always has to be better, more whatever, instead of saying, listen, this is real. This is what happened. This is how all people could perceive. And this is how you're going to keep yourself safe. But
Yeah.
with even reflection, like, you guys, be self-aware. And I'm not saying it's the woman's job to keep, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that from women sometimes being like, this is the way I felt. And the next time when you're in a situation and you feel that way, it's like almost like a big sister talking to you and being like, well, you know what? I'm going to speak up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I agree. It could be that she was so triggered from all the other stuff that had happened in her life that when he said that, she was like, oh my God, he's going to hurt me. And she went there automatically. But that was also so odd to me, because if you were, why did you not put that in the book? We go from like, ha ha ha, let's play crayons to, and then he said, get up. But B, welcome, welcome, welcome to the chat. Why don't you jump in and let us know a little bit of what you thought?
Hi, can you hear
Hi,
me?
hi.
Hello. This is a London takeover. I thought I'd jump in here. This is exciting. It's
Pure
really
class.
exciting.
We do pure class
I
on
love
the
it.
channel. We have the
I love
sophisticated
it.
accents.
This will be such a quick one from me because I was so excited Alex was on here. I was like, yeah, more London in the chat. It sounds like almost like Porsha, and somebody said this, that Portia's taken the stories of several other people and trying to pull it into one book. It's really disjointed. It doesn't even sound like her voice.
Yeah.
It sounds like
completely
she's
agree.
writing from this perspective of like 6 or 7 or 8 different characters. It's really weird to listen to.
What was the one thing that shocked you the most, or the one thing you weren't expecting to hear from the book?
I don't know if I was shocked, but it was just so random when she was when you were reading the part where she was talking about this, what sounded like it was going to be an R situation, and then she said stop, and then he did stop, and then from all accounts up until that stage it sounded like they had a good relationship, and then she was worried about him bashing her face in against the window. I was like, what's happening? I was like, what is going on?
Now, to Alex's point, because I didn't see that either, the fact of, for whatever happened in her life, because sometimes it's not what a person's doing, sometimes it's what's going on in your head. Maybe she did feel completely unsafe, and looking back now, she could be like, okay, that was irrational. Or maybe she's like, no, I was 100% right. But also, B, do you think it's odd that there's no takeaway for it? No,
Yeah,
like,
no, I
listen.
don't. I actually don't think it's odd. I don't think it's odd at all. I think that kind of it falls into place with what we've seen of Porsha on The Real Housewives. She's totally self-absorbed. For it to give us a takeaway would depend on her being somebody who looks outside of herself. This book is totally self-serving. We're just supposed to talk about how awesome Porsha is, or how much of a struggle she's had, but she doesn't care about reaching out beyond herself, which is how the book sounds. I would have been more surprised if she was, like Alex said, giving guidance and advice to other young women. That would have been more of a shocker to me. But yeah, she's totally self-serving, which I'm not surprised by at all.
It's so funny you say that. I do know, because me and B have our own little book club going, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm into like self-help books, improvement, this and that. It does strike me odd that even though this was supposed to be an inspirational book, right? Most inspirational books don't end with "this happened to me." Again, it's that thing. This happened to me. this is how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And then years later, looking back with my wisdom, this is how I could have avoided it. And then it like moves on. There's never any, you're right. Maybe there's just no reflection. It's just like a little bit salacious on her own part. And it's her own image. She can do it. But it's literally like, you guys, look at all this crazy stuff that happened to me. And everyone's like, okay.
Now what? Exactly. That's happened to you. Now what?
Yes, like the victimization, like what are you trying to accomplish by sharing this with us? Again, I know in the end, spoiler alert, you know, she's like, yes, I'm triumphant and I have the love of my life and this and that. But in that moment and in all the stories, it's literally like, I'm going to learn to never let anyone treat me bad again. But her idea of letting somebody treat them bad is not letting people and again, I'm sure she's been through stuff. Porsha strikes me
You
as
know
a
what?
very
I am so
person.
sorry, Tisa, but Porsha just comes across as a really shit human being. I'm gonna call
I mean,
it
I didn't want to say it, but I concur.
You guys, I'm doing a wind up for like, and B's like, okay, I'm sorry. I've just listened to an hour of this BS. I will not listen to more. But here's the thing, maybe it's a reflection of who she actually is. I have heard this from people that know her very well, or maybe it's just a thing about just not being aware, because maybe she's locked her inner child up so much that she literally is purely ego.
Is it locked up the way R. Kelly locks her up in the room? Is it the same kind of locked up, Lisa?
Locked up with no locks on the doors. But again, if you take it back to her dad, when if she spoke up, it made her feel bad and she was punished. Maybe there are triggers, but this goes even to the publisher and the ghostwriter. You're already writing all of it. Finish the damn paragraph. Like, like you're writing it. Just finish it. Like, listen, I'm gonna add a couple. I'm gonna add
this is why I was asking Tisa, who's her ghostwriter, because they should have given her more direction, like helps her to make it look a little bit more realistic and slightly less.
The life of a ghostwriter, sometimes you don't even have to give direction. Sometimes you finish writing it and then you submit it to them and they're just like, oh yeah, that sounds good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm just surprised that the publisher let this go.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she literally read the first page and the last page and was like, damn, that's amazing, and then just signed off on it. I really wouldn't be surprised.
I think that's what happened. She couldn't be bought. It has to be, because if this was my life, right? The pursuit of Tisa, and this was my life, and I was telling you my story, I don't know why. I think it would be more than 186 pages.
Yeah.
I just do. And the thing is, it's not like it's jam-packed, because you can be brief but get to the point, right? It's the fact that, you guys, like,
do you know what? Somebody in the chat was hilarious. They said you mentioned the font size, and somebody said it's like a Babysitter's Club type font size for a book.
These are the books, like, what is it, Captain Underpants or Diary of a Wimpy Kid? This is Diary of a Wimpy Kid font. It's Diary of a Wimpy Kid font. Again, you know what it reminds me? Remember when you were in college and your teacher was like, listen, you got 10 pages. I want it on my desk, blah, 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 or, emailed, and they always forget to put yes. You're like,
and they'd always say, do not double space because we'll know.
I'm literally like, oh, but you didn't say what font we use. So I'm going through Times New Roman. I'm going through Arial. I'm like, what is the biggest font that I can put in without making it look clownish?
See, I don't know what you two were talking about, because I was a good student. I never did that.
Oh, well,
I mean, I passed. That's the main thing.
Listen, hey, Judgy Justice, thank you for doing it. Listen, I passed, and quiet as is kept in college 2 times I did. And I remember I took one class 3 times. So, yes, I've been there. I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to be pre-med. I accept my fate. So go on.
Sorry to jump in. Tisa, can I just say, for the record, this book club is just the best. You are just like this. I'm loving this. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to do this regularly. Next time I'm doing Will Smith's book, the Porsha book, you guys can buy it to get the rest of the thing. You guys get the gist. It's like, listen, would I recommend this book? No. Would I read it if I was waiting in a doctor's office? Maybe. It depends what magazines he has. It depends what magazines he has. So I don't. I'm just wondering how this book. Again, it's a nice light read. It might let you know a little bit about her, but she doesn't really get into what goes on in her mind. I don't know how to explain it. It's just very surface. It's very surface. And if I'm buying somebody's autobiography, I want dirt. But dirt isn't hurtful things that happen to you because she's not even really sharing that. Dirt is, I want to see how your mind works. I want you to take me through the landscape of your mind. I want to feel like I understand you a little bit more. And I want to be pleasantly surprised or disappointed, doesn't matter, in what my image of you was and what it actually is. And this didn't deliver. Again, dirt to me is take me into your mind. Most people, their minds are a mystery, but it's a gift when someone can take you into their mind willingly and you get to look around. And that to me is interesting. And yeah, and Porsha took us into her mind. There's just like, I don't know, candied apples.
It was like echoing empty chambers, Tisa. It was like, hello, hello, hello.
Exactly. Like,
nothing in there.
It was just
empty
hey,
rooms
Judgy.
in the mansion. Like,
hey, Judgy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's the baby going?
He's growing, and,
Oh, it's good.
and time is ticking, and it's time for me to. I hired a mommy helper because I got to get things straightened out. So,
listen, if you can get the help, take it. Take it. You know, take it.
Yeah.
So,
well,
what's your thoughts of this?
I'm honestly, I'm not surprised by like the lack of depth, but I was just like, it might be because of your reading too of it, but also it was just like how it was just strange. It didn't feel authentic. It felt very strange. It was not a good story. It didn't make me root for her in a sense. Like, usually I think that's the thing for me is that I'm always out, like, even if it's an underdog, bully, or whatever, there's usually someone in the story you're rooting for to change, to push through, to overcome. And I just didn't see what would she be overcoming. And then also I didn't like how like she, seemed to play into a pawn for like R. Kelly's girlfriend. And then it's like, okay, so you're the bottom B and he has other B's. Like, no, Lord help me. I'm just like, I'm trying to make sense of it because I'm trying not to be that person that's like, this is a terrible book. People should use this more so to keep themselves warm this winter and put it in their fireplace than reading it. But
listen, Porsha's book, is it the worst book I've ever read? Absolutely not. Like, you guys, if I'm on the beach, you might even catch me reading like a romance book, right? So is it the worst? No, but does it? It's just, again, I read it and it came across as very odd and disjointed. And I tried to add like more into it, but again, it came off as very odd and disjointed. It came off as like, where are you taking me? What is going on? What is the point? Again, you guys, has anybody read the book though? Has anybody read the book? I'm actually curious to know in the comments. Did anybody grab the book? Because Porsha was talking about that it was sold out at Target. And listen, I'm an avid reader, so I know, like everybody else, Target being sold out, Target never has any damn books. They order 20 copies and you're just like, where's the book? And Target's just like, sorry, come back next shipment. They're like, go to a bookstore, order it off of Amazon, They're
like, they never get a next shipment of those books anyway. They'll say next shipment.
Don't.
They never do.
Hey,
and the books that they do have, they're like always like discounting greatly. Like,
of course. Hey, really quick, To Be Black Native. Thank you so much for joining the membership. And also, you gave a super chat. Yay! Let's see what your super chat says. Hold on, guys. Right? Okay. Thank you, B, so much. We're about. Oh wait. So To Be Black Native said, "Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, To Be Black Super Chat." He's just capping my head up. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But you guys, honestly, check out the book. I mean, listen, check out the book if she's your fave. Let me know what you think of the book in the comments. And if anybody has read the book, let me know. It is a quick read. It's a light read. So you guys can go. And you guys also know that if you order books from Kindle, you can, I think we're Kindle, I think you have 8 days to return it. And Audible, I think you have 30 days to return it. So if you guys do want to check the book out, go ahead and buy it. If you don't like it, you can return it. But I'm really actually interested to see what you guys think about the comments. Like, I'm really interested to see. So in any case, you guys, thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it so, so much. And I will see you guys on the other side. All right, guys? Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, and Judgy Alex, B, and Judgy Justice, thank you so, 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 so much for joining me. I really enjoyed the conversation. And I will see you guys next chat. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.